Hello and good evening, and thank you for joining me for another late night edition of Open Mic. Tonight I have who was originally planning to be my guest on this last party chat, but due to unforeseen circumstances, he was unfortunately not able to make it. But I think this actually turned out better because it kind of gives us a chance to just talk more open-ended rather than focus on specific topics. So I think it was for the better. So we've got a recent friend that I've made, Spartacus, joining me tonight. Thanks for joining me, especially given that you're a few hours ahead of me, so it's already pretty much midnight for you.
Oh, yeah. About another 5 minutes. Greetings, everyone. I am Spartacus, the Defender of the Multiverse. So I try to protect the rest of the multiverse from our insanity.
Yeah, I think, I've seen you around in chats and stuff, but I think the first time we chat was last month when I was working on my 12 Days of Christmas. And you just happened to hop in the group, the chat room I was in while I was live. And so we got to chat while I was hunting for achievements. That was
Yeah,
fun.
just by pure fumble. Because I did not realize. I thought you were just sitting in there, maybe just streaming your game, whatever game you were playing in the chat. I didn't realize that you were streaming on YouTube. So I'm like, oh, you're
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, I was live on YouTube at the time, but I think at the moment that you joined in, I was working on an achievement in Assassin's Creed Origins
Yes.
for day. I want to say it was like day 10 or something out of the 12 days, because I was getting pretty close to the end. But yeah, we had a great chat, just talking about like Star Wars stuff, and it's like, I got to get him on open mic so we can talk a little bit more at length. So
Yes.
glad that this worked out. So
Yes.
um.
Doesn't have to be bothered by work, and especially because tomorrow I have the day off. So woohoo!
Nice. Yeah. Do you normally have Fridays off, or is it because of a schedule change or something?
No, Friday's normally my scheduled day off, so it actually kind of lines up nicely because Friday afternoons and into the evenings I will be on my friend Tabletop Junkie Games' channel, and he does tabletop RPGs games. So
Oh, cool.
tomorrow we'll be doing another episode of Call of Cthulhu on the Orient Express.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I used to play a lot of board games because in college my roommates were huge board games. We had a whole wall of board games. I've played a lot of them, but that was over 10 plus years ago. So it's been a long time. I've barely played any board games since, but I've got a decent number of board games under my belt that I've played and know how to play. And people are like, "What? I've never even heard of that game." So cool.
Well, I mean, hey, you're more than welcome to join us over there on sometimes because tabletop is always looking for more people to come join us. We are alternating every week with Call of Cthulhu, which that does have an ending, and also with the other game that we're playing with is Castles and Crusaders, which is kind of like an old school D&D style, but without the insanity that Wizard of the Coast is bringing. And I mean, I
say no more.
Yes, and I mean, like I'm fumbling into it because like I've never done anything like this before. So after
And so you guys are like actually playing these games over a stream, right? Not just like talking
yes,
about games.
no, we're actually playing the games.
Okay. I'll check that out because it's interesting, like how the logistics of that work when you're not all in the same place.
We do it through Discord, and tabletop is just sharing the volume or the audio from Discord, and then he has set up on another website the actual like gameplay and everything. So that's that's the visual that you'll see, but the audio is from Discord.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go check that out because that sounds interesting. And that's on Tabletop Junkies channel?
Tabletop Junkie Tabletop Junkie Games. And yes, people, you cannot see me because I'm invisible.
I was just gonna say, yeah, for anyone who's curious, like why I'm talking to not even an avatar, just a black square. He doesn't have any source of video. So in the video options, it's none, and it doesn't even give them an option to select an avatar. So we'll be talking to uh, a black rectangle.
Yes.
Oh,
I did put in the private chat. I did put a link to Tabletop's channel.
I'm gonna drop that in the chat. So if anyone wants to check that out, which I'm gonna check that out because I've seen him around lately. I was on the Stargate stream with him on Fractured's channel just this last week.
Yes.
But I have not checked out his channel yet, so I will have.
Yeah, he's a really great guy. He's kind of helping me get into the tabletop RPG stuff because I've never, like I said, I've never done anything like that before.
Okay.
The closest thing that I've gotten to RP role playing has been taking over a character in a video game.
Yeah, I never even until the what I was just talking about. That was the first time I ever played a tabletop RPG. I didn't even like. I'd heard the name Dungeons and Dragons, way before that. But I thought it was like a video game. I'd never even like heard of the concept of tabletop RPGs until that time. One of my buddies like, "Hey, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "Oh, what game is this? What console is it on?" He's like, "Oh, no, it's like you play it on like a board game on a table." I'm like, "Huh?" And I didn't even get it until I kind of started explaining. I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool." Although I never did very good because dice hate me.
Yes, same.
It's like roll a 1d100, natural one. Oh, gee, thanks.
Yes. I felt that sting before. In fact, actually, my character, Athar, for a human wizard in the Castles and Crusaders game, actually died once, and it's just by the pure grace of Tabletop, who is the game's castle keeper, the equivalent of the dungeon master.
Okay.
Let my patron god bring me back to life.
He bestoweth upon you his blessing.
Yes, but
dice hate me, so I never did very good. But it was fun, and I learned how to play D&D and stuff. And so that was just the camaraderie and hanging out with all the guys and stuff and doing that was fun, even though I didn't often do very, very well.
Yeah, we've got more game. He's got more games planned in the future. Like we're currently working on like a superhero one. We're working on a zombie apocalypse one. He's planning to do it's kind of from my understanding, it is a fan-made Lovecraftian story called Ch'alt. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And also we're working on, well, he is, I should say, I should not take any credit because he's like he's the maker of it all. The
royal we.
Yeah. But like I did send him the books for it, and that is hi Nerdporial.
Hey, what's up, Nerdporial? Oh, I was watching him play Mega Man X3 earlier, so he's saying he didn't finish it, but he beat the Robot Master or the Mavericks, not Robot Masters. That's in the original Mega Man. Resuming this weekend. Thanks for coming by. Cool. I will definitely watch the rest of that stream if I'm able to. So, but sorry, go ahead.
No, but it's okay. But I got him the Star Wars game guide, or the Star Wars game or guide for West End Games,
the tabletop Star Wars.
Yeah, and so we are going to be doing a game of that too in the future. So
cool.
He's got a lot of stuff planned, and he's also got his he's got his horror anthology series that he's setting up, where like every episode is kind of like people going up against a slasher villain, a monster, a demon, anything of that nature, which he started up back in last Halloween, and we should be doing another one at some point in time in the future.
Oh, cool. So it's like Dead by Daylight, but tabletop version.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I luckily survived. We were going up against the Deadites from Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Nice. Yeah, I typically only do talk video games, but Spartacus is just kind of give me a background on what he and his buddy Tabletop Game Junkie do. And
Tabletop
so
Junkie Games.
I got it backwards. But he was telling me about what they do, and they do a lot of board games. So we're just talking about starting off with a little bit of board games. And Real Wade Nation's coming in here. What's up, Wade? Good to see you guys. Thanks for hopping in here. So, but yeah, on to video games. I know when we were talking, you said you weren't like a huge gamer, which is perfectly fine. Because I know you said you like haven't played a whole lot of recent stuff. So kind of give me what I was like, unless there was this particular topic you did want to talk about, I'm definitely open to it. But if not,
go with the flow.
Okay. What I always kind of like to start off with is just asking like a little bit about your background in gaming and like where did you start? What consoles did you have? And that always leads to, I have a couple other questions that I follow up with that, but usually I don't even get to those questions because that question itself will lead to, however long of a conversation we want it to
be. My first gaming console was the original PlayStation 2. Now, okay. I mean, I did dabble a little bit with my older sibling. I'm the youngest of 4, and so I did dabble a little bit with my older siblings' Game Boys, but I never really did anything with video games. I mostly stuck with my action figures and stuff like that. So, Power Ranger action figures,
figures, not figures.
Figures, yes.
If you know, you know.
No, I don't know. But so action figures or Power Ranger action figures, which that then led me into
Gundam. Power Rangers. Yeah, because we were just talking about my stuff that you taught me about because it's been so long since I've seen it. I thought this was the first one from Zero. And this was the second one, but apparently this is the first one, and this is the second one. It's been so long since I've seen it. I'd totally forgotten, but you educated me.
Yes. I'm just trying to remember which I had the second one. I had the second Zeo Ranger or Zeo Megazord. Right, I had the I'm trying to remember which other ones I had. I had the I think it's called the show, not the second Megazord for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Give me a second because it's gonna bug me that I can't remember what it's called.
Let's say other than because I like I was saying before we started that I have the original with the Tyrannosaurus, the not Megalodon, that's a shark. The mammoth, the saber-tooth, the triceratops, and the pterodactyl. I have that one, but I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I haven't seen it in a while. But when I find it, it's going up here as well. And one of my friends when I was a kid had the Green Ranger's Dragon Zord, and so I always wanted to get that one myself, but I never did because it's cool when you could combine the two and make one Super Megazord. And then there was that like the Stegosaurus
it's the Thunder Zord.
Thunder Zord, okay, that's one.
So I had the Thunder Zord. Go ahead. Sorry.
Remember. Oh, I was just finishing off that the first gen also eventually had like that Stegosaurus that it could ride in on, and all three of them could combined into one. And I always wanted to get that one too, but I never did. I only ever ended up with the original Gen 1 Megazord. But Thunder Zord, I'm sure I'll recognize it when I see it, but
it's the second Megazord that they had. It's the one that it starts out with the Dinozords, but they get struck by lightning and turn into. But yeah, I had that one. I also had
share this one because I'm pretty sure this is. Just make sure that this is what you are talking about. Oh, wrong button. Is this the one that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
It.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that one until you mentioned. I looked it up.
Yeah, so I had that one. I also had the Power Rangers in Space, the first Megazord. So it was the shuttle that turns into a Megazord.
Space. Oh, let's go Megazord.
So yes, that one. I had that
I don't think I've ever even seen this one before.
there was also a black version too, which that was never on the show, but there was that one, so I had that one too. And I also
Oh,
had
is it
no,
that one?
not that one. No, it was
No,
no, it was entirely. It was the exact same one, but it was in
but
black.
okay.
I also had go back up. So go back up. Continue. Go all the way. Oh, so okay. Second row, second picture from the left. From the left.
Oh, I'm a
That
dumb
one.
dumb.
I had that one.
Is
Which
this isn't this Turbo Rangers?
No, that's in space. That's still in space. That's the second Megazord from in space.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I ever saw in space, so
And then
I'm at a loss.
on
Here.
this second row, the picture on the right, the far picture on the right, second row, that one that's that white one that's in the middle. I had that one too.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't think I've ever even seen these ones before.
Yes. So I had those. I also had the Megazord from Lost in Galaxy.
Power Rangers. What's that one called?
Lost Galaxy.
Well, I never even heard of that one before.
It's the one that came out. It's the series that came out right after. Yes, I had that one. It's the series that came out right after In Space.
That one looks
because
a lot like the first gen Zeo.
Yeah. So I mean, originally, In Space was originally going to be the end of Power Rangers, but because of how good it did, they brought it back.
Huh.
And also, if you that picture right there, so these are also Megazords for Lost Galaxy, but that figurine that's in the back, I had that too.
Cool.
And it's basically just a kind of a shark Megazord that transforms into like a platform / Megazord.
Okay.
So, I also had Megazords from Rescue Rangers, Power Rangers Rescue.
Oh, I was like Rescue Rangers. That was an animated like with Chip and Dale.
Oh yeah.
Rescue.
Yep. I had. That's not it.
That's Turbo.
Yeah. No, not those.
That looks familiar, but yeah, not the.
So no, the second row, in the middle to the right.
This one.
Yes, I had that one.
Okay.
Also,
Man,
bottom row to the right.
That one looks familiar, but
that's part of that. That's part of it. That's part of it. No, next row. So that one is the previous Megazord with additional attachments from another Megazord.
Okay, yeah, I see it. It's like two Megazords that have combined.
Yes, but there's also another Megazord. It's kind of like it's configured from a train. It's that one right there. That one.
This one?
Yes. I had that one too.
Oh, that looks familiar. That one's pretty cool.
So
man, you had a lot of these. That's awesome. I would have been super jealous of you.
Yes. And I think that's kind of where that's around the time that Power Rangers started losing its flavor for me, and that's when I transitioned to Gundam Wing.
Okay, this one right here in the middle. This is one I remember I wanted to get this one as a kid, but I never did, and that's kind of where I fell out of Power Rangers as well. Yeah, Turbo.
Yeah. That's right. That is Turbo. So yeah,
taking me back.
But yeah, those two on the left are Turbo. The one on the right is from Rescue.
Okay. Cool, man.
But that right there and on to those pictures onto the left there, the one in the middle in the blue, that one is the other components for the other that were made up the other that
gotcha. That go on to this Megazord.
Yes.
I guess not.
It's basically a shuttle that transforms into a Megazord, and then you can combine it with
that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Power Rangers toys, and then my other thing from that time frame was I freaking loved Beast Wars. So I didn't.
Oh yeah,
I
I
wanted
did
like
have some of those. I did have those.
all the Beast Wars. I
I
had a
ha-
few of them. That's another thing that I'll put out because I'm pretty sure they're all together and I can't find them. But my Halo 3 Legendary Edition Master Chief helmet, my Gen 1 Megazord, my Optimus Primal Transmetal, and my Optimal Optimus
I
are all
had
right next to each other. So if I could find them, I'll have all of them and I'll put them up here on my background.
nice.
But I don't know where they are.
I
But
had the Megatron Dragon.
oh yeah, so I had a buddy that had like all of the Beast Wars that I really wanted, so I played with him over at his house. But I had a few of them, but he had like all of them, so I loved going over to
and
his house and playing with all his Beast Wars.
and then I did have a couple of these follow-up series. The one that took place on Cybertron.
Oh, Beast Machines.
Yes, yes, yes. I had the tank. I had the jet. I'm trying to remember who else did I have. I think I had the rat.
Rat Trap.
Yeah. But
Oh, speaking of Rat Trap, I still kick myself to this day because I remember I was in the mall at the toy store like around Christmas, and I was given money because I was supposed to like buy Christmas presents for family because I was probably like I don't know like eight or something, and I found Transmetal Rat Trap and I wanted it so bad. And it was like they had like one left. It was like up not even like on the shelf, like above the shelf where they keep like the back stock. So the guy that worked there had to go and get the ladder and go up there, and he got it down for me. And I didn't get it because I'm like, I know I'm supposed to spend this money on like family and stuff, but I should have done it, and I should have bought that Transmetal Rat Trap. And
darn.
every time I think about it, I'm like, God, I'm an idiot. I should have done it.
Oh yeah, I kind of think that myself with a couple of action figures that were out there that I missed out on. But and I just remembered that one of my favorite Power Rangers toys were actually not toys that you got from the store, but it came in through the McDonald's toys.
Oh,
And it came out, these are ones that came out when Power Rangers the movie came out, and they were just those ones that you get. It's this little tiny figurine, just very simple. You could just move the arm and legs and the head, and they would sit in like the like car shapes, these car shapes of the Megazords,
okay.
of their Zords.
I'm pretty sure if I saw him, I'd remember him.
Let
No,
me see,
the
maybe.
Power Rangers is the movie. That was one with Ivan Ooze, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that I ever actually ended up seeing that. I remember wanting to see it, but I don't know if I ever did.
I will say that Ivan Ooze is probably my favorite Power Rangers villain.
Okay.
Though the movie, I will say, probably is, looking back now, it's probably not the best version, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
The Power Rangers movies normally are kind of hit and miss. I mean, they're great. They're great and all. And this is a fun story. It's just the CGI for the Megazord. It's that early 90s CGI.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably higher quality than the show, though, right? I would assume. Since there's just people in costumes with,
I to be honest, I actually kind of prefer the show, the depiction, the depiction of the Megazords from the show more than the CGI.
Okay.
Though, I mean, I love the story that's in the movie, and I love how the Power Ranger suits were actually kind of like armor, but at the same time, they could still move around in it instead of just spandex.
Yeah.
And I loved what they did to the command center. It looked really cool. And just like that scene of Ivan Ooze destroying the command center, that scene just will always play in my head over and over and over again. And just the Ivan Ooze just going on about everything that he's missed. The Black Death, the Brady Bunch reunion.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about since I haven't seen it, but I did watch the Power Rangers reboot from like 2017 with Bryan Cranston as Zordon.
Yeah. So
And I enjoyed that. Oh, you're sharing. Okay.
So this is what you get from the McDonald's
Oh,
toys.
the McDonald toys. Okay.
So
Okay. That does look familiar.
this is for some strange reason, this was my favorite version of like of all the Power Ranger toys.
Okay. Huh.
Like this is the one that I played. Whenever I play with my Power Rangers, this is the one. These are the figures that I would always go to first. I didn't go for these ones. It's this one here.
You know, one of my favorite toys that I had, I swear was from McDonald's as well, was just the I don't even remember what they're called. They're little morphers with the coins in them.
Yes, the Power Coin Morphers.
Yeah, I remember I had one of those with all the coins, and I love that thing.
Oh,
but it was, yeah, and that's not the one that looks like that.
Yeah, I had a neighbor who had one of these, and it was pretty cool to play around with it.
It was a super cheap plastic one that
the
little thing opened, and you have to like flip the coins around or whatever. Not like that cool that like popped open and flashed lights, but yeah. Ah, man, nostalgia, the good old days.
So, okay, so after I started slowly weaning off of Power Rangers, I started seeing Gundam on Toonami.
Okay,
and so I started getting to Gundam big time. And originally I liked Gundam Wing, and so this is before I could actually get my hands on Gundam toys. I would use my Power Ranger toys instead.
pretend they're
Gundam. And reenact the stuff that I saw in Toonami. And then I got into so I mean, for those that don't know much about Gundam is one of the largest franchises in Japan. I mean, for the love of God, they have like 4 or 5 life-size Gundams built in Eastern Asia. Most of them are in Japan. There's like 1 or 2 in China.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I know that it's big. I don't know how big it is, but
from what I've read some places, it says that
big robots.
From what I've read some places is that it's one of 3 major franchises in Japan.
Okay.
So they've even got manhole covers with the Gundam on it over in Japan. So I mean,
I bet, because I freaking love giant robots, so I'm sure if I ever had gotten into Gundam, I would have probably fallen in love. I just never really had that opportunity, especially since I never had. The only time I ever got to see Toonami, because I never had cable or anything growing up, so I only had like the 3 stations that came like essentially like over the air.
Yeah.
So the only time I ever got to watch Toonami was when I went to my grandparents' house, and they lived about 2 hours away. So I wouldn't see them all that often.
Well, stick with me and I will open the door for you. But so Gundam is originally, it started in 1978. Wow, 1979.
That's way older than I thought.
Yeah. And it started with the original Mobile Suit Gundam. It was originally a TV series. It
was that an animated series?
Yes.
Okay.
And it unfortunately was canceled before the show was finished, I believe. But they licensed their mobile suits into Gunpla, which is basically just plastic figurines that you put together yourself.
Okay, because I remember I learned that term Gunpla just like recently, like within the last like year or so.
So I'll share my screen again.
I know that's a popular thing.
So basically Gunpla is you basically, it's like snap together stuff, or some people they'll do amazing things where they'll like create sets with them, or some people will take like regular figures like this, and then they'll carve them up, they'll make additions to them, they'll put lights into them, LED lights into them. It's amazing. It's really amazing. It's really cool. There's one particular YouTuber that I've kind of watched a couple of his videos where he will do some really amazing things with them. And there's plenty of people, if you just like do some digging around on Twitter, you'll see that there are plenty of people out there that will gladly kind of show off their Gunpla. I unfortunately have never done Gunpla myself, but I have great respect for people that do it.
What's up, Abe? Good to see you here on this late night open mic. What's up, man?
But
speaking of, he's got the Green Ranger. At least I'm pretty sure that's the Green Ranger as his avatar. We were just talking about Power Rangers for like the last 10 minutes. So
sorry, that's my fault.
If you want to hear us talk about Power Rangers, just rewind a little bit.
Yes. But yeah, it is the Green Dino Ranger, or Green Dragon Zord Ranger.
Yes.
But because of
David Jason Franks.
Yes.
That was, oh man, that sucked when I heard about that.
Yeah, it really sucked. It's just like, wow. He's still pretty young. And you okay?
Yeah.
You look like you were about to throw up right there.
No, I was just agreeing with you, and I was just turning it off because my nose is stuffed up again.
But yeah, so as Nerdy Neo said right here, Gundam is like a really solid story. But so the original Gundam series was revived because of the popularity of Gunpla.
Okay.
And the original creator, he took the original TV series and he re-edited it and redid it into a trilogy that you can find on Netflix.
Cool.
So technically the movie trilogy is the technical canon to the original Gundam story.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny because it came after the TV series, but hey. And unfortunately, there is no English dub compared to the TV series. The TV series has the English and sub, but the movie trilogy is only in sub. There was an English dub, but it was not well put together. So that's kind of been, unless you're lucky enough to find one of those out there, it's kind of disappeared. And it took off from there, and it went on to do Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, and it kind of had its end with Char's counterattack. Char was one of the major bad guys of the whole series from the very beginning.
You're definitely talking Nerdporeal's language because this is right up his alley.
Oh yeah. We've bumped heads a couple times. But
he's saying that it's not a video game, so I wouldn't be interested. I have other interests that aren't just video games.
This is actually leaning into a little bit of into my video games later on. Is so there's a trope in Gundam where it's called the Char clone, because Char started out as a mysterious figure in a mask, and so the interesting thing about Gundam is that there's multiple calendar timelines. So the main Gundam timeline is the Universal Century calendar, but there's other timelines too, which are basically alternate universes.
Okay.
So you have Universal Century, which is the main timeline and the most expanded upon. You have
that's kind of like equivalent to like Marvel's 616?
Yes.
Okay.
You have the After Colony timeline, which is the Gundam Wing, which is the first Gundam series that I saw. There's Anno Domini, which is Gundam 00, which is actually it's actually a pretty good one. A fun Gundam series that I would recommend to anyone is G Gundam. Because basically the way that I would describe G Gundam as basically it's basically Dragon Ball with giant robots.
Okay.
So basically the concept behind it is that every 4 years the nations the nations of the earth will send a champion to fight each other until one is successful, and that nation will rule the earth for 4 years. Um, so it's a tournament.
That's
It's a
quite an election process.
yes. So the champions will fight each other in their Gundams for until one is standing.
That's pretty dope.
Yes, yes. Shining Fingers. Yes, Shining Finger or Burning Finger. The yeah. So back to Shark Clone. Shark Clone. So any mysterious figure that you see in any Gundam series that is wearing a mask, he's got a mysterious past. He'll either be a villain or anti-hero. That's a Shark Clone.
Okay.
So that's a trope in every Gundam series.
Gotcha.
So after Gundam Wing, Toonami started airing the original Gundam TV series. So I got heavy into the original Gundam series. So there was Gundam, there's Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, the 8th Mobile Suit Team, Char's Counterattack, 0080 War in the Pocket, 0083 Stardust Memory, Victory Gundam.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, this is all in the same timeline, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So, from someone who knows literally, I've learned more about Gundam in the last 10 minutes than I've ever learned about Gundam before. If you were to, well, I got two questions. How many episodes of Gundam, like across all Gundams, would you say there are if you were to just, throw out a guesstimate?
How many episodes in Gundam in general?
Yeah.
Like everything?
Yeah.
Between
like if I wanted to watch all of it, how many episodes would I be watching?
Between the movies, the TV shows, the OVAs, the mini stuff, the video games, the manga, I have no clue.
Would you? I'm assuming it's probably in the thousands.
I would say, yeah. I would say
tens of thousands.
I mean, like Nerdporio said, is that the original series itself had at least 50 episodes in it.
Oh, too bad I don't have that clip. 100 more, 500 more, 1,000. Yeah, I'd say so.
It's over 9,000.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually over 9,000, but still, it's yeah. I mean, there are
thousands. It sounds.
I would say yes. It's probably good at over thousands. But anyways, around this time that Toonami was airing the original Gundam series, I got my first PlayStation, my PlayStation 2, the first one, the bulky one.
Oh, okay. As opposed to like the slim or whatever.
Yeah, that one I got later on. Okay. But one of the first games I got with it was Paul, what's
up, man?
It was basically Gundam. Let me see. It's gonna bug me that I'm not gonna remember it.
Because I know that there have been Gundam games.
Basically, one of my earliest games was Gundam Battle Assault, and it's basically kind of like a arcade. So let me see here. I'm gonna share the screen.
Oh, all right.
So this is one of my first games. So it's Gundam Battle Assault. It's one of these kind of games where you're fighting each other.
Okay, I was gonna say what genre it is. It looks like it's a fighting game.
Yeah, and I'll admit,
I think though I played one Gundam game. I remember I ended up with when I first started exploring emulation, like in the early 2000s. I think I downloaded like a bundle or something that had like every SNES game like ever. And so I was looking through it and I'm like, oh, Gundam always seemed cool. And I just loaded up this Gundam game and it was a fighting game. And I had fun playing that, even though I'm terrible at fighting games and I never play fighting games, but I kind of had a little bit of fun just playing against the AI. And that's literally the only experience I've ever had with Gundam.
I will admit I was not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of this style of gaming. I will admit. So I didn't really stick to this game very long, but one of the games that I got later on that I really loved and I played the heck out of was Gundam Journey to Jaburo. And this is in the original Gundam series. This is from the original Gundam series.
Okay.
So
And how does this game play?
So it's this right here, actually, in fact. So basically, you take on the role of the original protagonist of Gundam named Amuro Ray, who is like a 15, 16-year-old kid who just by happenstance, so to lay out the basic foundation of the Gundam series for the original Gundam series is that it is the year 0079, some distant future for Earth. And because of the overpopulation, humanity has moved the bulk of its population into orbiting space colonies called called sides. They're O'Neill cylinders.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My favorite representation is in Vanquish.
So basically, you have floating colonies that look like these, floating out there in space. So you have clusters of them called sides. And the group of colonies furthest from the Earth, that is on the other side of the moon, called Side 3, has declared independence from the Earth Federation, which is the government that rules all of humanity, and has begun a war of independence against the Earth Federation. And so they use the Zaku as their main foot soldier for the majority of the war.
And that means that they have tons of this specific model, right?
Well, this is the bulk of their troops, but because Side 3 has a smaller military base, a smaller economic base, it's not able to outproduce the Federation. But because of the introduction of the mobile suit of the Zaku, they're able to get the upper hand on the Federation quickly. And in the first 8 months of the war, half of the human population was wiped out. So let me see if I can find.
While you're looking for that, so the game that you were just talking about, though, it looks kind of like a Armored Core, kind of how it plays. Would that be kind of accurate?
Yeah, I would say. Okay. So one of the biggest tragedies in Gundam is the colony drop. And so
those crashed from space.
So Zeon captured one of the colonies and they had it drop on Earth, intending to drop it on the Federation's military headquarters in Jaburo, which is in South America. But they miss. It went off course, and instead it landed in Sydney, Australia. And let me see if I can pull up.
Either way, that sucks.
It lands in Australia, and normally there is sometimes a map that you can pull up someplace. So here's a map. Oh, dang it, it's not a good map. Here's a better one. So yeah, so it takes out a huge chunk of Australia.
Oh, snap.
And it drastically causes harm to the Earth's planet and everything. And yeah. But yeah, so half of people, well, actually, no, that wasn't actually 8 months. That was actually in the first couple weeks of the war. Half of the human population was wiped out. So at the time the war started, there was 11 billion people living in the Earth sphere, which is basically the Earth, the Moon, and everything in that proximity.
Okay,
half of that was wiped out. Just think of like half of 11 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, as Nerporo saying, yeah, that sucks. Quoting me.
So 8 months later, this is when the show, the game, and everything takes up, and you take on the role of Amuro Ray, who is just this kid that's living on Side 7, and the colony's attacked by the Zeons because the Federation was using the colony as a testing ground for its first mobile suits, the Gundam, the Gun Tank, and the Gun Cannon. And
Okay.
Amuro becomes the main pilot of the Gundam because he's the only person that's able to pilot the Gundam and take on 2 Zaku's and destroy them. And so he is a 15-year-old boy who is thrown into a war piloting the only mobile suit for the Federation, or well, one of 3. And you follow
the fact that he's able to do that, take out 2 without like any training. Is he a Mary
well,
Sue, or is there a reason why he's that good?
He's very well. I mean, first off, he had the manual for the Gundam with him, and his the funny thing is that his father was actually the man that designed the Gundam.
Okay.
So, but he didn't know anything about the Gundam until the attack, and he used the manual to pilot the Gundam and take on the Zaku's.
Okay.
There's actually a really cool simulator, or not simulator, but well, somewhat a simulator, that on YouTube that you can find of the interior of the Gundam cockpit.
Oh, that's awesome.
It kind of shows you like there's pedals that you push to make the Gundam go forward. There's joysticks that you maneuver to turn the Gundam's head left or right, or lift its arms, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a really cool video to watch.
That's awesome. And hello, Professor Chaos. Welcome. I'm not sure if I've seen you before, but welcome.
But so basically the game Journey to Jaburo is basically you going through a couple of missions, like 9 missions, which they're somewhat lengthy, so it's actually a pretty decent sized game.
Okay.
9 missions of the as Amuro, going through the White Base, which is the ship that is transporting you, the gun tank, the gun cannon, the Gundam, and everything from Side 7 to the Earth Federation headquarters in Jaburo. But while you're trying to enter the Earth's atmosphere to get to Jaburo, you're attacked by Char, who is your rival, and you get thrown off into North America instead, which North America is underneath the control of the Zeons.
Okay.
Not just any Zeons, but the son of the reigning sovereign of Zeon. You end up killing him. There's a huge funeral, and the eldest son of the sovereign of Zeon makes this huge Hitler speech where where he basically talks about the superiority of space noids, which is the term for humans that live in space, compared to Earth noids, which are humans that live on Earth. There's a heavy something about the Zeons is that they are a heavy allegory for fascism, and so on and so forth. The Federation isn't any better than the Zeons. The Federation is very corrupt and very questionable. But in my personal opinion, the Federation is better than the Zeons, because the Zeons are literally fascists.
So basically you're taking the lesser of 2 evils, not that one is like actually like the good guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also one of the leaders of the Federation. Spoiler alert, one of the leaders of the Federation unfortunately has an untimely death, which is kind of how it allowed more radical elements of the Federation to take control. Yeah. But so the game ends with your characters getting to Jaburo and fighting a battle in Jaburo because the Zeons followed you there. So, and along the way, you lose friends because of things. You see the woman that you kind of developed a crush on die before your very eyes because she sacrificed herself to save you.
Yeah.
But and then it gives you like and then the very end of it kind of gives you sneak peeks to the remainder of the show, which is leads up to go, because you have to go back to space to take on the Zeons, chase them back to their home, and kick them out of and defeat them up there. But
Okay.
that is actually that was my first game. My next game was another
And
Gundam game.
and so I
So,
know you said you weren't a big fan of like the fighting one, but the one that you were just talking about, I take it that you really liked that game.
yes, I played that to no end. The
Nice.
next game that I did was another. The next game that I got was another arcade style game, but it's actually an arcade style game that I actually kind of like. You kind of were placed in an arena, and you had to battle other mobile suits until one of you, like one of your reinforcement bars, ran out.
Okay.
And so it was. I'm sharing it now, a screen, but it was Gundam Federation versus Xeon. And so this is kind of how it played: is you had your mobile suit, is you had the enemy, you had radar, the time, because you had to defeat the enemy within a time period, and your reinforcement rates.
Okay.
And so there was an arcade style, and then there was a campaign mode. And then, which case, in the campaign mode, you can, when you go do a mission, you can choose which mobile suit you want to take into battle. And there's also you could fight in space, you could fight in the colonies, you could fight in on land on Earth, so on and so forth. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know if it was Gundam or whatever, but I remember playing an arcade game once that was giant mechs fighting each other in a very arena like setting like that. So, and I thought it was pretty cool. I wasn't good at it, but it was pretty cool. And like I said, I don't know if it was Gundam or some other big mech franchise, but yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And then another game I got after this was kind of in a way, a successor to Journey to Jaburo, which was Encounters in Space. Which this is basically the main story of this one, because there's actually other side stories that take place in other parts of the main Gundam timeline.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
of course.
but you actually fight the remain. You actually from this one, this one takes place right after, kind of in my kind of takes place right after Journey to Jaburo, and so from here you go on to fight Zeon and to the very end of the war.
Okay,
And like I said, is you're not just fighting as this is the main character of Gundam, Amuro Ray. You're
okay,
not just fighting as Amuro Ray, but you also will do side stories of other Gundam pilots throughout the Gundam timeline. Uh, so,
okay, cool.
and
So,
this
would
is
you say that like Gundam is like your favorite IP?
one of them. One of them. Actually, Star Wars is actually my favorite, but that's
Okay,
this is another Gundam game that I also had. This is actually a game from the Xeon perspective.
okay, fighting from the other side of the
Yes.
front lines.
So,
Cool.
I'm trying to remember after this. I think it was after this that I kind of slipped back into Star Wars. Uh, which that came with Star Wars Battlefront.
Okay,
Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefront 2, the video game of Revenge of the Sith.
that was a very underrated game.
Yes.
I often forget, but anytime the topic of like how the curse of movie games always being terrible. The first thing that I always mention is the Wolverine game, X-Men Origins Wolverine game was awesome.
Mhm.
And then if I remember, because I often forget, but the episode 3 game was really good.
Yes, it was. In fact, actually, until the release of the Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, whenever I wanted to watch the saga and all together, is I would then watch Episode 1, Episode 2, I'd play Episode 3, and then 4, 5, 6.
Oh, and just not even watch the movie?
Well, that was up until I could get the movie.
Oh, because the game came out before the movie.
Yes. So, and then trying to remember what other games did I have? I had the Star Wars The Force Unleashed, The Force Unleashed 2,
Okay, yep, I played both of those.
and Infamous 2, Infamous Festival of Blood, Infamous Second Son, and then I would transition into Ace Combat 4, Shattered Skies, Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War, Ace Combat 0, The Balkan War.
Oh.
Balkan War.
Okay. Yeah, I love planes and stuff. I was actually planning on going into the Air Force and being a pilot when I was in high school, but that changed. But yeah, I love jets and stuff. Although I always wanted to play all the Ace Combat games, the only one I ever actually did play was Ace Combat 6, though.
Yeah. I like the world of Strange Real. That's the name of the world that the majority of the Ace Combat games takes place in, the alternate Earth. It's called Strange Real.
I did not know that.
Yes. So it's spelled strange and real. So just smash the two words together.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time since I played Ace Combat 6. Because
Yeah.
I was like, because Ace Combat 7 just came out not that long ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I miss something? Because I swear I played Ace Combat 6 like 15 years ago.
The other thing is that Ace Combat 6 was exclusive to the Xbox, so I wasn't able to play that game. I wasn't able to play that. It was I could play 4, 5, and 6 because they were PlayStation games. There was one PlayStation, and there was one game after 6 that came out that takes place in our world. And then there was 7 that just came out recently.
But
yeah,
that was
and then I got
exclusive.
Yeah, and then I got I also had Lego Star Wars and Lego Star Wars 2. I loved the Lego games. Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Batman, Lego Batman 2.
I think I've seen all the Lego movies. For the Lego games, I played one of the early Star Wars Lego games. I think it was the original trilogy in the Lego games. I don't.
Yeah,
that
was the first Lego game. That was the
first one. That sounds about right. Okay, yeah, that's the only Lego game I've played.
And then when the PlayStation 3 came out, the Lego Star Wars, the complete saga, that was the first game that I bought with it.
Okay. Yeah, Melee James on a couple weeks ago, he was singing the praises of that game, and he got a few people to buy it.
I love it
because he was
the one that
it up so much.
The one that he talked about, the one that you're talking about now, is the Skywalker saga that Disney did. I'm talking about the original complete saga, which is 1 through 6.
Oh, okay, different one. Gotcha.
Yes, this is before Disney got their grubby little mousy hands all over Star Wars.
Gotcha. Okay, I follow.
And then that's when I got into other games like Infamous 2, which
I never played Infamous because that was a PlayStation exclusive, and I've never had a PlayStation. But just recently I had someone on.
If you
maybe it was you.
Yes,
yeah, I think it was you when you hopped in that night.
Yes.
And someone was telling me about Infamous. It was probably you.
Yes, it was me. It was me. But if you're willing to subscribe to PlayStation, I need to make sure I get the PlayStation Plus, and you get a PlayStation 4 controller. No, yes, 4 controller. You could be able to play it online on your computer
via the streaming.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and that PlayStation Plus has a handful of older PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 games on there. So That's where they have a lot of the Lego games, the Star Wars the Force Unleashed games.
I did play both of those and completed them.
Yeah,
I like them, but I think they're overrated. Because
I I
anytime people are
I'm more
talking about
s-
like their favorite Star Wars games, people are always like, "Oh, Force Unleashed."
they're
Like it was
they're
okay.
they're definitely fun. I wouldn't say that they're my favorite. I'd probably more so go with the Battlefront games. Uh, but they definitely were fun. I liked most of what happened in them. More so liked the books, the novelizations more so.
Okay, I never read the Force Unleashed novels, so I don't know what the difference is. Other than the one thing I do know is that in the novelization, because I think the novel of Force Unleashed is what's canon rather than the game. Because in the game, you actually like tear the Star Destroyer out of the sky, but in the book, I think it's more of like it was already crashing. He just kind of guided it.
Yeah, that's what happened. Um, there was also a little more explanation as to why Proxy turned on you. Is that Proxy was
Okay,
being manipulated by the excuse me? Proxy was being manipulated by by Raxus Prime, the planet's main computer,
okay.
because the computer was on the fritz and kind of was glitching out and attacking everyone, any organic beings. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I did like those games. I preferred the novels myself, story wise. Um, I did not like how it just abruptly ended the way it did. There was originally a third game planned, but somehow there's some falling out between the creator and Lucasfilm, so he left. So that ended up killing the whole series.
Yeah, the Force
Uh,
Unleashed game, and they had
because
to
you
rush
end
out Force Unleashed too because it was ridiculously short, and I think it was because of
yes,
the
it
time
was.
crunch.
Yeah, it was. And you are kind of a big time OP in the game.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, and also around the time I also got a PSP. And not just any PSP, I got the Darth Vader one. The one that had Darth Vader's face on it.
Didn't know there was a Darth Vader PSP, but sweet.
Yeah, it's all white and then on the back of it has Vader's face on Vader's helmet on it. And
They
this is
made it white?
yes.
What? That seems very counterintuitive.
Let me see if I can find a picture of it.
It's like, yes, we made a Darth Vader one. Oh, so it's all black? No, it's all white.
Uh,
Okay.
shoot. That's oh, there it is. This is okay. This is the best picture I can find. Actually, it's a couple pictures, but yeah. So this is what it looked like.
Hmm. Okay.
And it came in this box set with the game
Oh.
Battlefront Renegade Squadron.
I've never even heard
And
of that one.
Renegade Squadron is about so you have the 501st for the Empire. Well, Renegade Squadron was the equivalent for the Rebellion.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's a group. It's Han Solo kind of helped form this group, uh, and you go to various battles. So Hoth, uh, you battle on Hoth, you battle on Boss, you battle you fight on these various battlefronts.
Right.
That's the name. Uh, and this game is told in past tense because you are the pictured character or you're kind you or at least the person narrating the game is this pictured character and he's telling it to one of Luke's Jedi.
He's recounting the stories of these battles and stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
because the Jedi she is the archivist for the Jedi Order and she's
Oh,
like
okay.
and she contacts the narrator and says there's all this information that is missing about Renegade Squadron. Can you tell me about it? And so he recants tells the story of what happened with Renegade Squadron, how they formed, what battles they participated in, etc. and whatnot.
Okay.
So, and then along with Renegade Squadron, they eventually released Star Wars.
That type of storytelling, it's a very similar thing in Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah. So this is the other game that they released for PSP for Battlefront, Elite Squadron.
Man, I never heard of that one either. But
this was originally going to be Battlefront 3, but it didn't get the full treatment. Instead they kind of threw it to the PSP.
They're relegated to the PSP.
Yes. And this starts out in the Clone Wars. You are a character dubbed X2, who is a clone of a Jedi, and you have a brother who is X1. Well, you fight through the Clone Wars, and you eventually get up to Order 66, where you kill the Jedi that is supervising your training and everything. And you actually meet after Order 66. You eventually confront your clone, the clone, or the Jedi that you're cloned from, and X1 kills them, and this causes a identity crisis for your character, and so he goes off to do his own thing, and you eventually bump into Rom Koda from Force Unleashed. Because Rom Koda was your clone donor, your donor's master, and he becomes your master too.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so you and your clone brother goes down these opposite directions. You join the rebellion. He sticks with the Empire.
Interesting.
And because you're both Force sensitive, because you're both clones of a Jedi, you both develop your talents in your respected manners.
Cool.
So, and the cool thing with this game is that you can start out on land, you can then jump into a starfighter, and you can fly up in the air, but then you can also fly into space.
Like without any loading screen or anything? Like you can just go out into space?
Well, I mean, the loading screen is basically you flying into space, but yes.
Okay, but you can't like just seamlessly transition from
it
like a
was
ground
near
battle.
it was near seamless transition.
Near seamless. Dang, for a PSP game, that's crazy.
Yes, and like I said, this is originally supposed to be on the PlayStation 3, or this is supposed to be a console game, but it ended up. Well, I mean, yeah, technically it's a console game, but it was originally supposed to be on the PlayStation 3 and possibly Xbox, but it got regulated to the PSP.
Dang.
So it definitely was a fun story and everything. I mean, do you care if I spoil the ending to you?
No, I didn't even know this game existed, and I'm never gonna play it. So
the ending of the game is the Emperor dies and everything. Luke gets kidnapped by your clone brother, who is the next self-proclaimed Sith Lord, who wants to kill Luke and revive the Sith underneath him. So you, as a Jedi, go and confront him, defeat him, and you become a Jedi Master.
Okay.
So.
And save Luke.
Yes. And so you fight on various battles yourself. You fight at Yavin. You fight at Hoth. You fight at the liberation of Bespin. You fight at a battle. I think it's Mustafar, where Luke is being held, or it's either Mustafar or it's Korriban.
Okay.
I can't remember which one it was. But yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't know the answer because I haven't played the game. But
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then another game that I got was this next one is kind of like Empire.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Galactic Battlegrounds, but it's an RTS, right?
Yes, so I mean,
That's one of the other few genres that I don't really dabble in is RTSs. So that one, and I've heard a lot of good things about Empire at War, and someone I just had on recently was telling me about Empire War was like one of their favorites, and there's all these like different mods and stuff that
That
for
would
the
be me.
game. Was that you in that same time?
Yes. But yes, this is another one of my favorite games. So this is on the PC. You can find it on Steam. So Battleground, there's two versions. There's Galactic, there's the original, and there's Clone Campaign. And then there is you have to kind of search for it online, but there's a mod that you can download that kind of gives you a little extra. Unfortunately, it does have Diz canon material to it, so
a couple other friends hopping in here. Insidious Bliss, what is up, Insidious Bliss? Good evening. And the Horny Elf, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping in here, staying hi. While we are talking, currently we're on the topic of Star Wars games.
Yes, and so yes, Empire War did enter my purvey. So Empire War and also Empire War Forces of Corruption. There is, as you said, and I told you before, there are mods that you can do with this game that you can play during the Old Republic. You can play during Revan's time period, during the Jedi Civil War. You can play during the Clone Wars. There's other mods that revamp and restore the Galactic Civil War, so it kind of expands it and everything, kind of makes it a little more difficult or not, or more nuanced and stuff like that. So yeah. And then my PlayStation 3, I did that. I had more Lego games over there on PlayStation 3 and also PlayStation 4. I also had I got a game called Fractured.
Oh, I played the demo for that, and it was a pretty cool concept, but I never actually played the full game. That's the one that you can manipulate the
terrain
with terrain, right?
With weapons, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, playing that was a cool concept.
The story behind that one is that there's a major geological shift, and it caused the United States to be split into two with a body of water separating the two. So you have the west, the Atlantic side. You have the Atlantic side, which is kind of the base United States, and then you have the west, which is on the Pacific side, and that is referred to as the Pacificans. And there's this mentality that the two sides, the east, I should say, the eastern coastline, they want to improve humanity through cybernetics, whereas the west, the Pacificans, they want to improve humanity through genetic manipulation. But genetic manipulation is illegal in the United States. So the war that is sparked is the Pacificans' war of independence from the United States government. And you fight, and you're a soldier who fights for the United States to stop the Pacificans.
Gotcha. And what's up? Jonathan Davis is also hopping in. Good evening.
And this has been so far an hour of me talking about the games that I played.
That time frame that Fracture came out, there were so many of these like AA games with all these like cool, interesting mechanics, and like these games that like most people have never heard of, or they didn't do all that great. That I remember seeing a lot of them, but I never actually played any of them. There was like Fracture. There was Time Shift, which kind of had a similar thing, but was with time manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, I think another one was like Syndicate, where you could like hack people. Or I might be getting that mixed up with another game. But there are all these like one-off games back then that had like all these cool, interesting concept and gimmicks that I always wanted to play that I never ended up getting a chance to actually like really dig into.
Yeah. But I mean, like, one of the games that stuck out to me above all else when I was when my PlayStation 3 was, again, Infamous. It's the one game. It's a game that like I saw one time on. Oh God! When it used to be on
G4.
I think it may have been G4, but when G4 was like airing like around midnight over on Spike.
Okay.
So, sharing the screen. So this is the game. And so basically the story behind this game, for people that weren't here when I first explained it to Neo when I popped into on his stream a couple weeks ago or last month, is you play the character Cole McGrath. That is this guy right here and here. And what happens is that in the fictional city Empire City, which is kind of like New York's inspired, you accidentally set off a bomb that gives you powers over electricity, and the city
Almost
goes
the
in.
same intro, because I played the counterpart to it, Prototype. It had a very similar premise.
Yes, and yes, Jonathan Nerdy does need to play the game, and I told him a way that he could do it.
Yeah, he was just telling me that because I've never had a PlayStation, but he's like, you can, if you do PlayStation Plus, you can stream it. So that's something I may look into at some point.
It is an app that I believe that you should still be able to. Hold on a second.
I can look into it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with Prototype. I love the open world like destruction type games. I would take that over like a GTA any day, because I find the GTA games and that style of open world game just so boring.
But I mean, like this
needs more action and explosions.
Well, I mean, you basically are you kind of, as you're playing the game, you have your main missions, but also you have side missions that you can do to kind of liberate the city. And as you liberate parts of the city, the citizens act more positive toward it. So it depends on your actions.
Yeah, because this is like a morality system.
This is like base morality before Mass Effect and what they did in Mass Effect. But you do positive things and the people will react to you in a positive manner. You do negative things, you go down the anti-hero route, and the people will hate you. So as you liberate the city and the people love you, they'll clean up trash, and if they like you enough, they'll start helping you when you're fighting the gangs that have taken over the city. They'll throw rocks at them, or they'll push them if they're nearby, close enough, and stuff like that. The police will help you too. The police will shoot at the villains or the bad guys and help you as you're fighting. But if you go down the anti-hero route, then they'll throw rocks at you, and the police will shoot at you, and you'll just end up having to kill everyone.
That's funny.
But so this is my favorite game from the PlayStation 3, and then the PlayStation 4 came out, in which case I originally ordered the PlayStation 4 to come with this game, but because of a delay with this game, I ended up getting Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which I did not hold on to. I kind of got bored halfway through with it because it got really repetitious, and I just like,
Understandable. Yeah, Assassin's Creed games can definitely have that effect. Jonathan Davis saying that he was one trophy away from getting the platinum, but it bugged out on him, so he wasn't able to get it. That sucks. I hate when that happens.
Darn. But so this is one of the title games that came out with the PlayStation 4, Infamous Second Son. So this one takes place sometime after the second Infamous game, and you take on this character, Del. I think his name was Delson Rowe, who is an American Indian, a Native American.
Okay.
And he finds out that he has the ability to copy other people's powers. So, which in this world, they're not called mutants, they're not called metahumans, they're called conduits.
Okay.
Or, well, in this game, because this game takes place sometime after the first two games, and also the mini game that was kind of associated with the second game called Festival of Blood that dealt with vampires.
Interesting. That doesn't seem like it kind of fits this universe, but okay.
Well, they theorize in the game that vampires are conduits themselves.
Okay.
Yes. in this world, the government is heavily regulating conduits, and anyone that's suspected of being a conduit or that is a known conduit is immediately arrested by the government and imprisoned. And they refer to conduits as bioterrorists. And one of the cool things with the promotion for this game is they actually had a phone number that you could call, and you would get a recording that says, "This is the Department of Unified Protections. If you know of any conduits, please let us know as soon as possible," or something of that nature. It was a recording that just played that from, like, if you were calling the government to report a conduit or a bioterrorist.
Right.
So it was kind of cool. I did actually call the phone number.
You snitch.
Hey, I ended up being one. But yes, so this game was fun with the powers, but the one thing I did not like about it is that it kind of, the way it ended, and that
I
is,
think I remember you mentioning that.
it ends in a way that it opens a door for more that could be done in this world, but Sucker Punch didn't do anything else after this game. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna open the door to this greater world in this game, but we're not gonna do anything with it. We're just gonna let it drop. And it's just like, oh my god,
this sucks.
Yes, it did. It sucked. So after that, I got into I kind of jumped around to other games, a few more Lego games, and then I got into Destiny.
Oh yeah, Destiny all day.
Yes. So, like 5 years with Destiny.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, for like from 2014 to like 2018, I basically, not even 2014, basically from like 2011 to probably like 2018, I basically played 3 games: Skyrim, Destiny, and Mass Effect.
Yeah. Well, I did play Mass Effect too. I did play Mass Effect as well. I got the trilogy for when they released it for the PlayStation. So I played through that.
Oh, are you talking about the Legendary Edition, or are you talking about like when they originally released them on PlayStation?
Back on the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so Destiny came out, and when it came, I did not play the alpha, but I did play it when it came out on and everything. And that's when I started like hanging out with people online and stuff like that. And I still have a couple people that there's one person from my Destiny days that I still talk to now and then, because one of the things I had my issues with Destiny is that I would join a clan and things would be fun and everything, but then it seems like everyone else in the clan just found the niches and would move on, and I'm just like,
no one was as dedicated as you.
In a sense, yes. Or it's not that they weren't dedicated as me, it's just they found their groups within the group, and I couldn't find a group that I would jump from clan to clan to clan. And there would be some times where I would take a break and then come back sometime later. But yeah, so I was there through all of Destiny, the Dark Below, the Den of the
House of Wolves,
the
Taken King.
Yeah, the Taken King, the Rise of Iron, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that was the last one. I was actually just talking about that one, I think, on Open Mic last week.
All the way up to the Age of Triumph, which is the very end of the Age of Triumph. Was basically it was the event. It's not. It was a DLC. It was
seasonal type thing.
It was the event that basically just said, "This is it. This is the end of the first Destiny game."
Destiny 1. Okay.
And then I got the beta for Destiny 2. Played through the initial game. Hey, Kay. Played through the initial campaign. I played through the follow-up DLCs and everything, and then they got to the seasonal thing.
Okay.
And it's around the time that they started doing their stuff in seasons that I kind of I just fell off the game. And then I hear about other things that they're doing in the game that I didn't quite agree with.
Yeah, I've heard
Uh,
that because I played the Destiny 2 demo, but I've never actually played the Destiny 2 full game. I played a crap load of Destiny 1, but I basically ended it there. But I've had a few people on who played a lot of Destiny 2, and they told me that yeah, it's kind of really fallen off.
it did. I mean, one of the things I do wish that they would have done with Destiny 2 is the campaign for the initial campaign for Destiny 2 is it is too dang short. It is too freaking dang short for my
Okay,
taste. Because it's all starts with the Cabal invading the city and taking over the city and you
right.
losing your
I remember that from the
powers.
demo.
Well, at the end of the initial game, you win back the city, you defeat the Cabal, and the Travelers awoken now. How cool would it have been if if that actually never happened? If the game is about you trying to set up a resistance to the Cabal, finding heroes that can join you at the farm, because that's where the farm is, where you kind of is your base of operations until you recover the city.
Okay, because yeah, you wouldn't have access to the tower anymore.
Yes. Well, the tower is literally destroyed.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, just imagine how cool it would have been if you could have. Uh, I was going to play Destiny until the whole
Yeah,
voice acting controversy. You mean with Dinklebot?
yeah, with Dinklebot and Nolan North.
I mean, as
I
cool.
thought that was an upgrade.
I do agree. I mean, as jarring as it was when it first happened, but I mean, I actually kind of like Nolan North's voice over Dinklebot's because
Although I think I talked about it when I had Extra Zero on, because like the fact that you can't even have um Dinkle, what the heck is his actual name? Uh
Peter
Peter,
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, thank you. The fact that like you can't even get that anymore when that's what was originally in the game, and that's what you
Yeah,
purchased. Like there
I mean,
should be a way, it should have been
I can,
left in there so you
I
could
can
have it if you
understand.
wanted to.
I can
Um
understand, but at the same time, is what would you have done for the follow up content, and you didn't have Peter Dinklage to voice
No,
the.
right, but that's saying is like for the stuff that he did record, that should still be an option.
Meh.
Of course, for everything after that would have to be Nolan North, but um, because like taking stuff out of a game that you paid for, you know,
Well, I mean,
gets into that whole
I mean,
digital
I can
versus physical
understand.
debate.
I mean, I can understand that, but at the same time, is you kind of got that replacement of the voice for free.
Yeah,
So I mean, but I was fine with the voice swap. It was kind of jarring at first, but you eventually got over it, and you got adapted to it. And I mean, it's but I mean, like, for Destiny 2, just imagine with what could have been cool is if you ended up using the farm as your base of operations, and instead of immediately retaking the city, the whole campaign is you setting up your resistance against the Cabal that took over the city. Like, you
yeah,
don't immediately recover the city in this initial game. That's in like 2 or 3 expansions later.
right.
So your main goal is to build up the farm, recover heroes that survived the initial battle, and just draw out the war with Cabal a little longer than just 10
Short
hours.
campaign.
So yeah, so I mean
I
that would
think
have
that's
been.
kind of the concept that most people had going into it, and then when it
Oh
was
yeah.
like
This is supposed to be the
it was kind of
Empire Strikes Back
disappointing
style. This should have been like an Empire Strikes Back kind of
for
uh
Destiny.
for
Yeah,
Destiny, yeah. But no, that you had the people at Bungie that says, "Oh no, the initial game that was Destiny 0. This is the real Destinies." No, just you should have just improved instead of just doing a whole reset.
yeah.
But uh,
Um, But yeah, what Kay is saying here is, it's exhausting when censorship is magically okay because it's against someone we don't like, or the other side. It shouldn't happen, right? The whole Dinklebot thing didn't have anything to do with censorship. I think it had to do with
No.
money because they couldn't
Well,
afford
yeah,
to keep them.
because Peter
But I
Dinklage
still
was.
agree that censoring just sucks.
I mean, what they did is it didn't have to do anything with censoring Peter Dinklage. It was just that he became a big actor because of Game of Thrones, and so they couldn't bring him back because he would have been too expensive to bring back. So I mean, they
Right.
had to go with another actor, someone who is actually more accustomed to voice acting than Peter Dinklage. Because if you actually listen to Peter Dinklage's line deliveries, ooh,
Yeah, they're very, very monotone.
very, very dry. So
Yeah. Jonathan Davis saying it was pretty cringe too.
yes, it was. We've
but,
awoken the hive.
As I often mention, that wizard came from the moon. It's like supposed to be like this big revelation. It's like, yeah, that wizard, yeah, he came from the moon, whatever. But that was removed from the actual game. That was only in the beta.
Yeah, but
it's will live on in infamy, just like giant enemy crab.
I mean, like, just pull up on YouTube. There's tons of videos of people having their gameplays with we've awoken the hive.
Yeah, but okay, is saying censorship in that it's removing original content. Yeah, in that context, yeah, totally get you. Maintain the option to keep OG or have the new. Exactly, that's what I say. Even if you don't like it, like you should keep it in there. You shouldn't take stuff away. Which, Destiny 2, I've talked about with. I think it was when I had Hijabi Gamer on for Party Chat. She was telling me about Destiny 2 because there's actually like Destiny 1 got you had stuff that you had previously had access to locked off from you if you didn't upgrade and get the new expansion.
Oh, yeah.
But the content was still there in the game. Destiny 2 actually removed content that was in the game.
That was when
they
they started
longer play it.
That's when they started doing the seasonal stuff. And that's around the time that I
that's criminal
fell out because I can't play Destiny 24/7. I have a life, I have work, I have bills to pay, I have a dog to take care of and all that stuff. And I sometimes need to step away and get a breather. So that's roughly 2-3 months that sometimes I stepped away from Destiny and I would come back eventually. But now in this new seasonal era, that 2-3 months is it hurts you.
Yeah, it's like there's like I'm so far behind. It's like what I can't be
What's the
bothered
point?
to like try to catch up. Yeah.
So I
Totally
mean,
get it.
the one friend that I told you that I still have that I speak to now and then, he does still play Destiny on occasion. He says that they kind of undid that now. That you can
Okay.
play past material, but it's just because of my past events with clans and stuff like that. If you're not in a clan, you're gonna miss out on a lot of things because you have that base to draw upon to do group activities. Otherwise, you'll have to use an LFG to look for people.
Right.
Uh,
I need to do
and
that because I have one achievement left in Destiny 1 that I still need to do, and that's for completing the Rise of Iron raid on Heroic. So I'm this close to having 100% now, and I just haven't.
I will admit
bothered.
that Destiny is one of the few games that I have that I've completed 100%. So, and I
Yeah,
have I did all the shirts. I bought all the shirts. Like when you did events and stuff like that, they gave you that shirt code that you could buy stuff.
in their store.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I have stashed away in my drawer like 3 or 4 shirts from all the events, as well as that Nepal shirt that for the charity.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So
Cool. So one thing that I need to ask you, because I actually mentioned this, I think it was in Nerdtorial's chat earlier tonight, when someone brought up WoW. They were talking about Hunter and Warlock, and I said Titan is better than both. And they're like, I didn't even know there was a Titan in WoW. I was like, no, I was referencing Destiny. Because that was my main was Titan. So what was your main?
Warlock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
So I had one of each, but I my warlock
too.
is my main guy. In fact, actually, this is one of those weird things. Is I had a mental lore around all three of my characters. Is that my warlock is kind of the rookie of my trio. My titan is the grizzled old veteran exo, and then my huntress
My Titan was an XO as well.
was an awoken female from the Awoken, just like Zavala and all the other Awoken, and she also hooks up with my warlock.
I never came up with any like head canon for my characters, but yeah, my Titan was an XO, and that was my main. And then I had a human hunter; it was my secondary, and then my Awoken warlock was my third. But
human warlock, exo titan, and Awoken huntress or huntress.
Okay.
But yeah,
I did join a clan, but I never really used it. I did almost all of my gaming in Destiny with a couple of my buddies that I knew in in IRL, and my best buddy, his main was a warlock, and then the other buddy, his main was a hunter. So it all kind of panned out. But they only kept one character active. I kept all three active and up to the top tier. So because I just played the heck out of Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, especially during the initial game, you played on all three characters, all the loot that you'd get.
Yeah, I was doing like the raids every week with all three characters. Get as much gear as possible.
Oh my god, I'm just thinking.
I still remember when I got Gjallarhorn to drop from Crota.
Oh yeah, Gjallarhorn or the Hunger Crota. Awesome. If you didn't have Gjallarhorn or you didn't have the Hunger Crota, you couldn't play the raid. Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, do you have Gjallarhorn? No. All right, well then you can't join our group. It's like, oh come on. Yeah. How am I supposed to get it then?
Yeah, either Gjallarhorn, Hunger Crota, Icebreaker.
Icebreaker was my very first exotic, and everyone's like, "Oh, this thing."
Yeah, like, that was when
it first came out. People were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Dude, this gun is freaking awesome! It regenerates ammo."
Yes.
It was my first exotic. I remember that thing. And
Black Hammer.
Yeah, that came out later. I don't know if that was in the game
Crota.
Originally.
That was from Crota's End. That was the sniper that if you did 3 hits, you got 1 bullet back. 3 criticals, you got 1 bullet back.
Well, I think because originally,
well, actually,
I know that they toned it down.
Yeah, originally
because it was too powerful.
Originally,
it was a legendary, and I think every headshot returned a bullet.
It's still legendary, but the thing is that what it did is that
and then they turned it into an exotic.
There was the legendary version, and then there was also the exotic version, which was the black spindle. So with that one is that every critical you got a bullet back, but it didn't pull it from your store.
You know what I think it was? Is that's exactly how the legendary version originally worked.
Yes.
But then they made it an exotic.
That was the black spindle.
And they changed the legendary so that it wasn't so powerful. I think that's what it was. It was too powerful when it first came out.
They did it for both the black hammer and the black spindle. They both nerfed them to where now if you did 3 critical hits, it took the extra bullet out of your reserves.
Right.
And instead of it just all of a sudden magically appearing, because you could sit there all day and just critical. It
was because it was a beast for just destroying bosses when you can just keep shooting and not have to worry about ammo. It's like that's a little too powerful, so they had to tone it down.
Yes.
But yeah, good stuff.
And then you have one of the cool things with the Destiny 2 is the Nova Bomb for the Warlock. Is you had various versions of the Nova Bomb. You had either the normal, just throw it and it hits someone, but then you had what's referred to as the Slova Bomb, which is the Nova Bomb, but it's slower, but it tracks.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I remember in Destiny 1 you could split it into 3, which is
Yes.
what my buddy did, but it didn't have a tracking one, so that must have been an addition in Destiny
That was
2.
during Destiny 2, and so you and so there's plenty of videos out there where you have like someone watching as someone's rounding around the corner, and then all of a sudden you see this massive purple glowing ball chasing me like,
Of death.
"Oh shoot, run!"
Like, oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap! Running! 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 Running!
And then
That's
if
funny.
you shoot it, it explodes and it turns into smaller Nova bombs that start tracking you.
Oh my goodness!
So
Kind of like the Warlock's Void Grenade. I forget what it's
yes,
called,
yes,
but it would split up and it would track. Those things were great.
yes. So
But shout out to Paul saying everyone should utilize the LFG sections in Paul's Discord and the Melee Discord. So shout out to Paul and Melee Discord. Go check those out if you want to find people to play games with.
but yes, so then
So
after that, after Destiny 2, I kind of fallen off playing games for a time, but I started playing some games more recently. I played Star Wars, the newer 2015 Battlefront, which
okay,
I was disappointed by that. It looks amazing and everything. It looked amazing at the time and everything,
definitely a
but
good looking game. Yeah,
it's lacking the elements to keep me in there, which was campaign,
I think most people had that
the
problem
campaign,
with it.
and galactic conquest.
Yeah, exactly. I
Because
think that was basically the big complaints that everyone had about it.
I understand a lot of people love to play PvP and everything. I'm more of a PvE person. I
Me too.
I like to play against the computer. I like to play a campaign. I like to play a story, or at least tell a story in my own head as I'm playing a character fighting against a stupid computer. um the Battlefront 2 game wasn't too bad, but it was extremely short and it was
The
predictable.
campaign, yeah.
The
Yeah.
campaign was predictable. You started as a stormtrooper, and oh, surprise, surprise, she joins the rebellion, and she's the bestest ever.
Yeah. After like 3 missions.
Yes,
It's like now all of a sudden you realize the Empire is bad? Not, like blowing up planets of innocent people.
yes. But and then trying to remember what other games did I do. I had the Sony Spider-Man.
Okay.
Trying to remember what other games did I do more recently. I did Star Wars Fallen Jedi.
Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order. Which
Okay.
I liked the game. In my opinion, it's probably one of the better things coming out of Disney Star Wars.
That's what I always say is because I haven't played Jedi Survivor yet. I am looking forward to playing it, but so far I can easily say that Fallen Order is the best thing to come out of Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. I will probably have some Star Wars purists out there that will say blasphemy for what I'm about to say next, but I feel like
Blasphemy.
I
I don't even know what you're gonna say, but blasphemy.
I feel like I could take Fallen Order and I could plug it into the EU with some minor adjustments. So
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't say that's terribly blasphemous because I could see that fitting for the most part.
now with Survivor, that's where you kind of have to pause a little bit because they do the whole
I've heard that
concept.
it touches on
The
a
High
lot.
Republic.
I don't know exactly the High Republic.
It draws a lot.
How much of it I don't know though.
The whole thing revolves around the High Republic because
Okay,
the whole
I think it was. Were you telling me about it? Because I swear that I was talking to Angry Canadian about it as well.
could be. I don't know. But the whole thing is that you are trying to use this machine that dates back from the High Republic. You're battling you're teaming up with a droid from the High Republic. Everything revolves around the High Republic.
Okay,
So
I think I'm going to enjoy the gameplay of it, but
game,
the story
I
I think is definitely going to be a bit of a.
besides the ties to the High Republic and everything, I did enjoy the game, but that's just me. I'm picky on some things and I'm lax on others. So,
Yeah.
but I did enjoy the game. I had fun. I do like the character of Cal. There is a novel that is in between the two games, but I would say don't worry about it. It has no
I didn't
effect.
even know that, but I haven't
Yeah.
followed any of the Disney continuity when it comes to the books
Yeah.
because they can't keep their own continuity straight.
There is nothing from the novel that is important to the story minus the how Grease loses one of his arms.
Okay.
And that you find out that Mira is pansexual.
I don't even know who that is. Is that a character they introduced in the second one?
That's the Dathomiri Night Witch that joins your team.
Wait. It's been so long since I played it. I don't remember that being her name, but
Mara. Marin.
Okay.
Marin. Sorry.
That's right. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Marin. That's right.
So you find out in the book that she's pansexual.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And also Cal gets cucked by her in the novel, but at the very end they get back together. Or well, they don't get back together, but they are looking at each other in more of a personal light. Though that gets thrown out the window with this game because spoiler alert, the whole team breaks up before the game starts.
Okay.
So
because at towards the end of Fallen Order, it's like, or will they, won't they? So,
but yeah, so I mean, spoiler warning, they do kiss halfway through the game, and it's just like, finally.
So, okay.
But
cool, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Jedi Survivor at some point. I just don't know when I'm going to get around to
it. And also, I played one of the games I played, and I also have it streamed on my channel. Is Hogwarts Legacy. I did do both Hogwarts Legacy and Survivor on my channel. So
I know Jonathan Davis is a big fan of Hogwarts Legacy.
So yes.
I don't know if he's still here, but he posted a screenshot of his review of Hogwarts Legacy on Steam this week in Discord. It was funny.
Oh, geez. I missed that.
I think he gave it like a 4 out of 10. And I think
I
don't know if Steam, like, you can like comment on people's reviews, but I think he might have posted on Twitter, and I think he was getting some flack for it.
I had fun with the game. I really love Hogwarts Legacy. It was a fun game. Did it have its problems? Okay. Yes, but I had fun with it. I liked being in that world.
He is still here.
He is. I liked being in that world. If I had to choose which Hogwarts I liked compared to how the Hogwarts looked in the movies versus how it looked in the game, I choose the game's Hogwarts. I liked it was more than just scenes. It was actually it was more than just settings. It was actually God, I'm saying actual a lot. It was a genuine location. Yes, it is hard replayability. I do admit to that. So
yeah, I have zero interest in the Harry Potter franchise, so I was never going to play it. But hey, if you liked it, cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I had a lot of fun playing the game. It was a lot of fun. And then presently, I am replaying through Infamous. Yes, so that is what I'm presently live streaming, and that is basically my almost everything of all the games that I played.
Okay, I think I already know the answer to this, but Paul mentioned it before he left and then came back. Because I got to ask you about my favorite genre, which if you've been hanging out on my channel, you probably know where I'm going with this. Do you happen to know what my favorite genre is?
No, I do not.
My genre of expertise.
No, I do not.
Is Metroidvania. So I was going to ask you if you have any experience in the Metroidvania genre. It
Uh,
sounds like the only experience you have really is the recent Jedi games, because those fall in the
yeah.
Metroidvania, in the 3D Metroidvania genre. Because Paul's favorite is Salt and Sanctuary, which I think is a Metroidvania like. It's not actually a Metroidvania. It's probably still a good game. I've been waiting for it to go on sale on Xbox forever, and it still hasn't, so I don't own it yet. But as soon as it goes on sale, I'm going to buy it. But my favorite Metroidvania, and in my opinion, the best one, better than Salt and Sanctuary, is the Ori games, specifically the second one, Ori and the Will of the Wisp. That game is phenomenal. So I was just wondering if you have any experience in Metroidvanias.
Unfortunately, not.
Oh, and before you answer that, the Prince of Persia game that just came out, Lost Crown, is a Metroidvania, and I'm very much looking forward to play it, and it looks really awesome. And I played the demo, and I really liked it, and everyone that I've heard who's played it has enjoyed it.
No, I don't have any. I don't believe I have any experience with Metrovania.
Okay.
Oh, I just remembered. I did also have a couple of the Yu-Gi-Oh games too.
Oh, nice.
I
I
had
love Yu-Gi-Oh.
I had
I'm like a hardcore casual, if that makes any sense.
I still have all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to think about. That I think about it, they're hidden someplace. Um,
Nice. Yeah, I
but
don't have any of my cards anymore, but
but
I do just love that.
I
Just
had
the game.
oh god, there's one that was on the PlayStation. Can't remember what it was exactly, but then I also had the War of the Roses, if you know what that one was.
Okay. I haven't played very many of the actual Yu-Gi-Oh video games, but I remember that one existing. The one game that I spent the most time in was it was actually one of the mobile versions, like on my phone. I played it on my iPad. Um, Dual Generations. I played a heck of a lot of Dual
Okay.
Generations because I was able to hack it so that I could unlock all the cards.
Oh, nice.
And because that game, you can play versus other people, but I've never had the gall to actually play it online versus other people, because people are just like so crazy good at it, and it's like I have no idea what's going on half the time because they're just like doing all this crazy stuff. And here, like me trying to track, sit here is like spend 10 minutes. Do I do this move or do I do this move? Try to weigh the pros and cons of each, because I overthink everything in that game. Um, but the campaign in that was great because you had all of the characters from each of the generations, and they had two decks, like a beginner deck and then more advanced deck.
Yeah.
And you could play through all the different generations versus all the characters and stuff. And I just want to play that game against the AI. I don't want to go online and play against other people.
Yeah.
So I freaking loved that game. All the ones that have come out with since have basically they've had like a very minor single player aspect because they're designed to be played against other people online.
Yeah.
So I haven't been a big fan of that. Like Duel Links, I played a little bit, and I've played a little bit of the current one, and basically is the meta for the digital format is Master Duel.
Yeah. Speaking
of the show, Jonathan Davis just started watching the show again last night. That's great. I love the show.
The show was definitely fun. I actually took the time once to watch the entire show from the beginning all the way to when Yami moves on to the afterlife.
Okay, I caught most of everything, but there's still stuff that I never did, so I should probably go back and rewatch it from beginning to end, because I was only caught episodes here and there when they were on, like after school. So there's bits and pieces that I know I'm missing, like, but I'd love to go back and I should.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but I don't watch a whole lot of stuff, so going back and watching through the whole thing would probably take me quite a long time, especially since I'm kind of back on this whole Stargate kick with Fractured Filter.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks a lot, Filter. But no,
yeah, I mean,
I love Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate. Yes, like I told you guys this, I think after the show, but like Stargate was one of my like loves of sci-fi. Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Stargate, those were just like like the love of my life for sci-fi. After Star Wars, it was Stargate.
Yep,
So,
same here. And
well,
Jonathan Davis, you're
actually,
saying
it's
favorite show growing up? Are you talking about Yu-Gi-Oh? Or are you talking about Stargate? Just
actually it was It was actually Star Wars, Gundam, and Stargate were the three loves of my life for sci-fi. Battlestar Galactica was in there too, but not as much of an interest for me as
the others.
those other three.
He says both. Nice.
Oh, also Firefly was also a cool series too. Too bad it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the movie was great, but still, the way that it just abruptly ended the way it was.
Yeah. Funny thing about Firefly is that I saw the Serenity movie, and I just thought, oh, this is a cool sci-fi. And then someone introduced me to the show Firefly, and I was so confused. I was like, how this doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, oh, the show came first and then the movie. And I was thinking
Yes.
like the show came after the movie. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Because I kind of like just stumbled upon Firefly, the show, and I didn't really have anyone like kind of telling me, kind of setting the stage for me until I figured out like, oh, I had it backwards because I didn't know about Firefly beforehand. But yeah, Firefly was great. But yeah, I got into Stargate. Like I had seen the movie a couple times, the original Stargate movie with that we watched on stream on Filter's channel this weekend.
Yeah, last weekend,
a couple times since it had come out. What did I say?
You said this weekend.
This week. Oh, this last weekend.
You missed a word.
But yeah, I had seen that a number of times since it came out in 94. And I knew that the Stargate show existed, but I never actually watched it until I was at college, and like our dorm advisor guy, he was I think it was like the RA, resident advisor, I think is what his like title was, and he kind of kept an eye on things for our dorm, and he had all the seasons that had aired so far. I want to say it was like in the middle of season 5 or something. So like he got like all of us into it, and we're all like, he had to like create like a sign up sheet to keep track of who had which disc of which season, because we were all borrowing all the seasons from him. And we all, like a ton of us all got into Stargate because of him. So I think thanks to him, he was a cool guy.
For me, I got into Stargate in, I can't remember what the reason was. It was either it was during a holiday, or when school was out, or I was homesick, and I was home at the right moment in time where this. So any younger oh god, I'm saying that, any younger person out there, but under the age of 20, or under the age of anyone who's younger than 30 years old or something like that, there was a time where when TV shows, they would have things called marathons. Their TV channels would have things. There's TV channels where they would have a series of shows, not just one particular show in general, but it was a series of shows that would play in a timely manner. Well, there used to be something called marathons, and these marathons would have this one particular show all day. So that's how I came across Star Trek. I was watching the Sci-Fi Channel, and
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Did I say that? Star Trek?
You said Star Trek.
Okay, Stargate. Wow.
See?
It's too many stars.
Yeah, there's a lot of sci-fis with the word star in the name.
So I came across the Stargate marathon on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I was hooked. And I cannot remember when that was exactly. It was sometime during the early to mid 2000s, I believe.
Okay. It might be around the same time that I got into it, because I got into it my first year of college, which would have been 2005.
And so every Friday night, I would, after coming home, maybe doing some homework I wanted to, I would immediately be sitting my butt down turn the TV on, turning it to the Sci-Fi Channel, and watching Stargate. And when actually, I think it was. I know it was before Atlantis came out.
Yeah, I got into it like right before Atlantis aired.
So I would sit down, I would be watching Stargate Atlantis, and then when Stargate SG-1, and then when Stargate Atlantis started coming out, I would watch that, and then when Battlestar
Go
Galactica
back
came
to
out,
back.
it was Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate or in Battlestar Galactica, and I would every Friday night.
Nice. I never got into Battlestar.
So that was that. Oh geez, just watching all that, and then going back and buying the DVD collection and everything, and then
I always wanted to get that after SG-1 ended. There was this awesome, 10 disc or 10 season set. It was like huge. I always wanted to get it, but it was like $250. And I looked at reviews and like it was poorly made. So people were complaining that, they spent all this money on it, but because of the thing that held the discs inside of it was poorly made, they would fall off. You'd open it for the first time and all the discs would be scratched.
The one that I have now, in fact, because I just like last year I rebought all 3 series. So Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe in one giant collector's set that is all on Blu-ray.
Okay.
I may just shoot you a link to it.
Definitely. I'd be interested in that.
So, and you can show it off if you want to.
Okay, because the one that I'm talking about, it was DVDs. Blu-ray didn't exist yet, so
yes,
they probably made a better quality one when they did the Blu-ray one. But yeah, Jonathan Davis is saying, back when Sci-Fi was the go-to channel, man, how times have changed.
Yeah, and that's really sucks. When it was the Sci-Fi channel and when it was not the Sci-Fi.
Siffy.
Yeah, Siffy. I like that, Siffy. So I sent it to you on Discord.
Jonathan Davis has not seen Stargate Universe. So, in my opinion, Stargate Universe was not bad, but it wasn't as good. It wasn't anywhere near as good as SG-1 or Atlantis. It was just, it was missing something.
It had potential, but yeah, it was definitely missing something, and unfortunately, it ended on a really on a major cliffhanger.
I thought they ended it well, but yeah, it was on a cliffhanger because they didn't know if they were going to get renewed again or not. But I thought they ended. I think it had a better ending than SG-1's because they were planning on still doing another season. They're like, nope, you're done. You have to wrap it up in a movie.
So yeah, I sent you the link to the collector's edition.
Yeah, the Blu-ray. Nice. 170.
So
I'll have to keep my eye on that in case it goes on a bigger sale. But yeah, I didn't think it was bad, but it was just missing something that SG-1 and Atlantis had.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of disappointed that they never got around to is addressing the Lucian Alliance. So, do you remember them?
Yeah, I do remember them.
So like they're the force that took over after the collapse of the Goa'uld Empire, and it's like, okay, these people are still running around. So yeah, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, because they had to wrap it up in a movie because they didn't get to wrap it up in the season.
Yeah, with the Ori. Hallowed are the Ori.
I'm looking forward to watching SG-1 again or Atlantis because I love both of them. I prefer Atlantis over SG-1, but I love them both.
Oh yeah, I love them both. But
I don't even remember the ending of Atlantis. So when we were talking about it on Filter Stream the other day, I was like, I don't remember any of this because they were talking about how Atlantis didn't wrap up that great either.
Yeah,
I don't even remember Atlantis' ending. I remember SG-1's ending though.
I remember SG-1's ending. I don't remember Atlantis' ending, but somehow somehow one of the Wraith hives gets a hold of some means of crossing the galactic void, and they start heading towards Earth. And so Atlantis, the Atlantis crew.
Oh, spoilers. Jonathan Davis never finished Atlantis.
Okay, then I'm shutting up.
But yeah, I would say, if you watch SG1 and Atlantis and you're dying for more, go for Universe. But if you're like, I think I've had my fill, I would say don't bother with Universe, in my opinion.
There is also there's also a cartoon.
Hey, Vanquish is hopping in here. What's up, Vanquish? Hey guys, I'm late and lame. I know. What's up, Vanquish? But yeah, Jonathan Davis. Yeah, Claudia Black. She's definitely a good-looking lady.
Yes, but yeah, there was a Stargate TV show, a cartoon.
I did not know that.
Yes. Let me see here. Hold on a second.
This is news to me.
So this right here. It was called Stargate Infinity.
I know that they were working on a Stargate MMO that never came to fruition, but I never heard of Stargate Infinity before. Or if I'd had, I totally forgot about it.
But yeah, I think it only lasted one season.
Okay. Jonathan Day says, you can spoil it. I'll probably forget anyways. Speaking of Stargate, though, and video games, I saw a tweet this week that said, I think it was on like Sunday, right after I was on Filter's Stargate stream, because I started watching a little bit of SG1 after that, and it said, the last show you watched and the last movie or the last video game you played are getting combined into one property. What unholy abomination is getting created? And I'm like, Stargate and Guardians of the Galaxy. Dude, that would be awesome to have the Guardians of the Galaxy go travel the galaxy through Stargates. I would love that.
Stargate and Infamous. So the characters have different abilities of teleportation, electrical powers, smoke powers, you name it.
Let's see here. Stargate MMO. I don't remember, so I'm going to find out here for you, Jonathan Davis. I just remember that they were working on it, but it never happened. Stargate Worlds was a massively multiplayer online game developed by Cheyenne Mountain Entertainment. Never even heard of them. And, that's the developer. Does it say anything
the
about
company went bankrupt?
Yeah, release canceled. Oh, it was on Unreal Engine 3. I did not realize that. Bankruptcy, that sounds about right. Does it have anything? Oh, publisher. There it is. Fire Sky. Also never heard of them. So I was interested in it, but it never came out. I probably wouldn't have played it anyways, just because I was never really into MMOs. The only MMO I've actually played more than a couple hours was The Old Republic. I played that for probably about a year. And one of my buddies who I was playing it with back then still occasionally plays it, and he's like, "Hey, dude, we should get back into Old Republic." I'm like, "Dude, if you want to play on the regular, I'd definitely be open to that." But he hasn't gotten back to me about that. But that's another thing. If we want to create like an Old Republic clan, start playing Old Republic, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's I don't know how, I really don't know how they're gonna like end Old Republic, because it's Old Republic still technically exists in the expanded universe, the what is now called Legends.
It's the one thing of EU that is still being worked on.
Yeah.
Jonathan Davis like, I've been playing the Old Republic. Let's go.
I've tried a couple times to play Old Republic, but it's just like other things get in the way, and I just all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's still a thing.
Yeah.
But like at some point in time, they're definitely at the end of the game, because there is a period in which the true Sith Empire does collapse, which gives way for Darth
Bane.
Oh, No. Well, that's
Initiate?
1,000 years before Darth Bane.
Revan?
No. Darth. Oh, fudge nuggets. Hold on 1 second.
It's pre-Disney. It's the only thing I have left of Star Wars. Yeah, for serious.
Darth Ruin. Darth Ruin.
Darth Ruin. I don't even know who that is.
So here's some more fun. Here's some more Star Wars fun facts. About 2000 BBY, so that's 2000 years before the Battle of Yavin. A Jedi Master named hold on 1 second, I have to look up his name. Named Phineas. An Umbaran Jedi Master named Phineas decided to explore the dark arts of the Force. And he falls to the dark side, and he declares himself the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Ruin. And he unifies the remaining remnants of the last Sith Empire, along with pulling several Jedi to his side, and starts what is called the Fourth Great Schism of the Jedi Order, which set off the events called the New Sith Wars. And his new Sith, basically, the New Sith Wars lasted 1,000 years, and it brought the entire Republic to its knees.
Because this is after Old Republic, right? Because Old Republic takes place at like 3,000 BY?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I had my timeline correct.
So at 2000 BBY, that is when the New Sith Wars begin. And like I said, across a time span of 1,000 years, the Republic collapses in on itself. All that exists of the Republic is in the core worlds. The entire galaxy is divided amongst warring Sith clans and tribes and stuff like that, and the few worlds that are underneath Jedi protection, because for a time several Jedi went out into the galaxy and took control of star systems, becoming what are called Jedi Lords, and that would pass on these titles onto their children and stuff like that, until one Jedi Lord named Lord Hoth unified.
That's why I thought you were going with that.
Unified all of these Jedi Lords against the last Sith Order, called the Brotherhood of Darkness. Lord Hoth would unify a unified group of Jedi, calling them the Army of Light. And this would be the war of the Army of the Army of Light and Darkness, the last war of the New Sith Wars. In which case, the Sith would wiped out, and Darth Bane is the lone survivor, and he begins his rule of two. That is This is explained in the Darth Bane trilogy.
Best EU books, best EU trilogy, my opinion.
I do love those novels, but I more so am in the realm of Fate of the Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi.
I never got around to reading those ones. I always wanted to. I just never made it that far.
Well, I mean, they're not adding anymore, so you have plenty of time.
Yeah. No, I just don't read anymore.
But I mean, like the Legacy of the Force takes place like 40 years after the Battle of Yavin. So in this time span, you had the Empire was defeated, the New Republic was established. You had the Yuuzhan Vong invasion.
I read all of New Jedi Order.
Han and Leia's youngest son, Anakin Solo, he is unfortunately killed during the Yuuzhan Vong War.
In the middle of that, Star by Star, which Ryan RK Outpost was just talking about on his Sunday stream. Someone was asking about EU books, and New Jedi Order, because everything before New Jedi Order in the EU was kind of like, these are the main characters, nothing's gonna happen to them. And then New Jedi Order was like the Game of Thrones of Star Wars, where like big name characters were dying.
Reset.
So they had to put some serious stakes into it. But Anakin Solo went out like a badass, though.
Yes. And then, I mean, people are upset with how they killed Chewie, but it's just like Chewie, like, this is something that, like, in the universe,
I thought it was awesome.
Chewbacca's family was proud of it, because it's just like no one could kill Chewie, so they had to throw a moon at him.
Yeah, I remember when I was reading that, I was like, "Oh my god, did they seriously kill Chewie?" It's like, "Nah, he's gonna come back." Like, nope, he did.
No, no. And it's just so horrible, especially with like Han blaming his son, blaming Anakin for it.
Oh,
And
I gotta point out what Jonathan Davis just said because I had no idea. So the guy who does the Darth Bane audiobook is named Jonathan Davis. So obviously it's
oh,
quality.
so
I
wait a minute,
only
Jonathan,
listen to
when
the
were you gonna
audiobook
tell
that
us
has
that
sound
you do
effects.
voiceover for audiobooks?
I've never listened to an audiobook before, but now I may need to.
I just finished listening to the audiobook of Survivor's Quest because audiobook just finally got that up on. Unfortunately, the cover for it is the Legends cover instead of its original cover. In fact, actually, Survivor's Quest was my first EU novel,
Okay.
and that is Survivor's
I've
Quest.
heard the name of it, but I don't know anything about that book.
So, Survivor's Quest is the book that takes place right before the Yuzan Vong War begins, and that
Oh,
is
is it after Dark Nest?
no. This darkness happens after the Yuzan Vong War.
Oh, that's right. Dark Nest is after Yuzan Vong War, not before.
So Survivor's Quest takes place right after the Hand of Thrawn duology with the where
Yeah, the
where
Thrawn duology.
Luke and Mara get married. So this book is kind of like right after they get married.
Okay.
Um so this is when Luke and Leia or Luke and Mara are contacted by the Chiss, the blue skin Thrawn's people,
Mm-hmm.
to come join them as they recover Outbound Flight, which
Okay,
is
I
a
have that book, but I never read it. Paul's
yes.
taking off here. He's about to go start his stream for Darkest Dungeon. See you later, Paul. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
See you, Paul. So Survivor's Quest is the Chiss are going to recover the wreckage of Outbound Flight, which Thrawn destroyed like 50 years before, and they're going to hand it over to the New Republic because so for those of you that don't know about the EU and everything, Outbound Flight was an attempt by a Jedi named Joruus Sabayoth to try and colonize a section of the galaxy called the Unknown Region, as well as trying to leave the Star Wars galaxy and go to a neighboring galaxy. Well, he bumped into into the eventual Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Thrawn wanting to prevent forces outside of the galaxy from getting the advanced technology of the Old Republic, destroyed the Outbound Flight, and so Thrawn's people came across the wreckage of Outbound Flight 50 years later, and they contact Luke and Mara, and they have them come join them on an expedition to recover the wreckage. Well, when they finally
Okay.
get to the wreckage, they find that people have been living in the wreckage of Outbound Flight for 50 years.
Oh,
And
snap.
so, yeah.
Out in
And
space?
it was on a planet, it was on a small planetoid.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So, but there was enough there was
All
an
right. Jonathan Davis is saying, hey, put on a great show. Appreciate it, Jonathan Davis. Always love having you hanging out with us, but he needs his Firefly fix before he goes to bed. Totally understand. You go watch some Firefly. Good night, man. I will talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out.
not Jonathan. But yeah, so I just finished listening to the book on audiobook because I haven't been able to pick up the story in a long time, and I can more so I find audiobooks more useful because I can work at my job and I can just plop an earbud in my ear and I can just listen to the audiobook as I'm working.
Yeah,
Uh
that makes sense.
so it allows me to kind of multitask a little bit and get things
I do
in.
that with all the YouTube content that I follow, but I wouldn't do it with a book because I wouldn't be able to focus on it enough. I've kind of the same problem with audiobooks as Open Airlock Policy does because he often mentions that it's like I need to like sit down and like read it so I can really comprehend it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, this book kind of revolves around what kind of relationship the thing that I got from this book, because I haven't read it in years. So I'm a good chunk of it I've forgotten. but I mean about it. It's about Mara wanting to know what is it she wants, because she's kind
Just
of like
recently left being,
she
working for Palpatine, right?
no, it's more so is that she was when in the Hand of Thrawn in I think it's called Hand of Thrawn,
Yeah, the
the
Hanatron duology.
the Hand of Thrawn duology. She was offered by the de facto leader of the Empire of the Hand to join them and kind of be their Jedi in the Empire of the Hand, and she rejected it because she chose to marry Luke instead and join him and the New Republic. Well, she's kind of still on that threshold of, does she really want to be with Luke and be in the New Republic, or does she want to be with the Empire of the Hand and do some good there? And so she's throughout this trip, she's trying to get over her past too. She's still struggling with her past as the hand of the Emperor, or
Right.
the Emperor's hand. And
Mhm.
so she's kind of juggling all this, and also Luke and her are trying to kind of like really develop their relationship with each other, because they're I mean, the way that I kind of got it is that they're newly married, or it could be like a year later after their marriage. I can't remember exactly, but it's in
But
that
pretty recent.
they're kind of like trying to figure out who are we to each other? What is this dynamic going to be about between us and everything?
Mhm.
So that's kind of like what's going on in this whole story. Then you also have the survivors on outbound flight and everything. So after the everything ends and everything after everything ends, the whole thing is settled and everything, that is when it then leads in the direction of the arrival of the Yuzhan Vong.
Yeah,
um
because when I first started reading Vector Prime, which is the first book in the New Jedi Order series, there's all this stuff that's like already going on that like they didn't tell you about or like prep you for. So it's like you're just expected to know this stuff, and it was kind of disconcerting. I'm like, they're talking about all this stuff as if like I'm supposed to know what the heck they're talking about already.
yeah,
So it
well,
must have been in that.
yeah, well, I mean, I mean, like, when you actually like read through the EU and everything, you notice how very freaking fragile the New Republic is.
Mhm.
Because like it is just such a mess. Like, you have
It's
political
held together by
corruption.
duct tape and dental floss.
I mean, like, Mon Mothma and Leia Organa were some of the probably great leaders of the New Republic and everything. But
Mhm.
like Leia Organa was forcibly removed from office for a short time, and so in one series of books, Leia began a war with this star system because they were exterminating their neighbors so that they could purify their star system of aliens, their equivalent of aliens.
Uh,
And so
is that the Yavethans?
that yes,
I was gonna say I know they're extremely xenophobic, so I was like, it sounds
yes,
like the Yavethans.
the Black
Or
Fleet Crisis.
yeah, okay.
And
I
so
never read
Leia
that, but I remember reading through the Wikipedia for that,
and
or
so Leia
Wookieepedia
yes,
before it was what it is now.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Uh so Leia so in I remember listening to this trilogy, and it's just like she's trying to this is around the time that the New Republic decides to allow former Imperial senators into the Senate. And so Leia has to negotiate with these people that she once thought were her enemies, and now they're her colleagues, or they're people that can generally influence the politics of the New Republic. So she has to balance with them. At the same time, she is having this delegation from the Yavethans who are tripping her up by trying to appear that they're good doers or something like that, or they're just trying to protect their own sovereignty because they liberate themselves from the imperial yoke years before.
Okay.
and
I didn't know that part.
and they're also she's having reports coming from these worlds in the area of the Yvethan homeworld that are saying, "Hey, we're being attacked by the Yvethans. They're exterminating us. Please help us." But she can't because they're not member worlds of the New Republic. And
Yeah.
at the same time, she has the media and her political opponents coming after her because she's having the Fifth Fleet, a Fifth Navy built for the military, and they're saying that they're comparing her to Palpatine, like she's trying to expand her power. She's going to be the next Emperor Palpatine, yada yada yada, and everything. And so she's trying to juggle all of this, and she's completely thrown off. But at the very end, she's like, you know what? Screw it. All these worlds that are being attacked by the Yvethans, they're now all members of the New Republic. We're going to now send the Fifth Fleet. We're going to send the Fifth Fleet that I just had built. We're going to send it into that star system, and we're going to free everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Man. All the political conniving and bureaucratic red tape BS.
Yes. And I mean, like, she initiated like a restoration. She initiated a restoration movement to try and restore the New Republic Defense Fleet, to like bring it more, to make it more modern. They have all these new star destroyers that she had planned to develop, new starfighters and all that stuff, to just replace the older model starships and starfighters that were just, they had their time. They were starships that are dating back to the rebellion, and they're still being used in the Empire, in the defense fleet, and even star destroyers from the Empire that was captured and remodeled, super star destroyers as well, like the Lusankya, that they're still all in the New Republic fleet. But it's just like, these are ships that are like 10, 20 years old, and it's like, it's time to kind of like revamp the Republic here, revamp the Navy. And so she's having political pushback from that, and she's the one that kind of gets it moving and everything. Unfortunately, if her successors would have continued that move, it probably would have definitely benefited the New Republic when the Yuuzhan Vong started, but they kind of killed the project with just the Fifth Fleet being constructed with these new planned starships. And it just, unfortunately, it kind of hurts the New Republic later on during the Yuuzhan Vong War, because they're using all these outdated starships and everything. They're still powerful, but it would have been more beneficial to have a new up-to-date Starfleet versus 10, 30-year-old starships.
Right.
So, but then you get into the Legacy era, and that's a fun time, because at the end of the New Republic, New Jedi Order era, the New Republic has fallen, and so they've reconstructed into the Galactic Federation of Free Alliance. Luke has decided to completely restructure the Jedi Order, because it seemed like the Jedi Order leading up to the Yuuzhan Vong War, it was just a loose association of Jedi, and not an action, and that just respected Luke as the Jedi Master of the Order, but it wasn't an actual there was no governing body overlooking the Jedi. So at the very end, Luke is like, nope, I'm gonna have the most prominent Jedi become masters. We're all gonna form a council, and we're gonna rule over everything. And well, that worked for a time, until like 5 years later, when Luke had to take direct control of the Jedi Council, becoming the first Grand Master. Yeah, becoming the first Grand Master of the Order, of the New Jedi Order. So
okay, yeah. When you said, did you say Legacy or era?
Legacy, yes.
Okay, because I was thinking, when you said Legacy era, I was thinking, like Cade Skywalker.
Well, I mean, that is a part of that era. That the Legacy,
that's like 100 years later.
The Legacy era starts from 40 ABY to 130 plus ABY. So that's like 90 years.
Okay. I was considered, I just considered Legacy era like just the Legacy Comics series. I didn't really think of like Fate of the Jedi and stuff to be part of Legacy.
Yeah, the Legacy era starts with the Legacy of the Force series, and that is where Jason Solo, who spent some time trying to, after the events of the Yuzhan War, Jason Solo, the eldest son, the last remaining son of Han and Leia. He is having an identity crisis,
which he had during the Yuzhan Vong War, and it freaking pissed me off. I'm like, dude, get over yourself.
Yeah,
do what you need to do.
The war didn't help that at all. So he went off and he did some soul searching. He learned from other Force users of their various techniques and everything. And he got some really cool Force techniques, like, for example, flow walking, which is one of the few times that you see time travel in the Star Wars galaxy. Which is, flow walking is basically your physical body stays here, but your being sort of travels back and forth between the future and the past, whichever direction you want to go to, and you can kind of witness the events. And if you exert yourself enough, you could influence it in a way, but the Force will counter you and correct itself.
Interesting. Okay.
Unless you do enough damage. Like, so during the events of Legacy of the Force, Jason does a lot of damage using flow walking.
Oh, okay. Using flow walking. Interesting.
So, like, for example, one of Tahiri Vela, you remember her, that's Ben's girlfriend. Jason, in order to get Tahiri Vela on his side during
I remember her from well before that, but yes.
Well, I mean, in order to get Tahiri Vela on his side, Jason takes her and he flow walks with her back to Tahiri and Ben's Anakin's last interactions with each other. And Tahiri reaches out and pushes her past self into Anakin's arms, and they share a kiss.
Oh, yeah, I remember that was in New Jedi Order.
So this is how Jason manipulates and controls Tahiri Vela. Is that he uses flow walking to give her a chance to see his brother one more time, to see the boy that she loved. But yeah, and then all of a sudden another ability that Jason picks up is a Dathomiri trick where you leave a blood stain, a blood marker on someone, and you can track that person throughout the entire galaxy.
Yeah,
it's a Force technique that he learned from the Dathomiri Night Witches.
Sounds about right.
And so if you leave a bit of your blood on someone, they can't wash it off. It can't come off unless you die or unless you release it, and you can track them anywhere in the galaxy.
Interesting concept.
Yeah. And then
Vanquish is still here saying, that's amazing hearing this and knowing the crap that we got with Disney movies.
Yeah.
The EU sounds amazing. The EU was amazing.
If you actually want to hear a proper telling of how the Emperor returns, go listen to you can either go find the Dark Empire graphic novel, or
that was the first Star Wars graphic novel I ever saw. When I went over to someone's house, they had it, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!"
It came out around the same time that I was born. So it has more I have a lot of love for that. But it also, I came across on YouTube, some people have the audio drama of the Dark Empire.
I didn't know there was an audio drama for Dark Empire.
Yes. So if you actually wanted to hear a better interpretation of Palpatine's return from the dead, go look up Dark Empire on YouTube. Go look up the Dark Empire audio drama on YouTube. It is,
and the answer wasn't somehow Palpatine returned.
Yes. I mean, it is kind of cheesy because it was in 1991, and that is around the time that the EU is still kind of trying to figure out what is with the EU. It took maybe about 10 or so years before the EU actually settled into what it was going to be. So
yeah, because like the very first EU book was, I think it was Shadow of Mindor.
Technically, the very first EU book was Splinter the Mind's Eye.
Splinter the Mind's Eye, that's right.
Came out in 1978, I believe.
something like that.
And
It was because they didn't even know if they were going to be able to do Empire yet, so it was completely contradictory to Empire.
So I mean, if Splinter the Mind's Eye, if the initial Star Wars movie didn't do so good, they were going to do Splinter the Mind's Eye, which was going to be cheaper and easier to produce, which is probably going to be a downgrade from the from what would be later on redubbed A New Hope.
Yeah.
But luckily for us, everyone loved A New Hope.
Good morning.
Hey,
for
Tomby.
It actually is morning for you.
Tomby,
it's like late
Tomby.
night. Tomby. I don't know why I always say Tomby, but Tomby. But yeah, hello.
Somehow the Emperor Returns and that shit is
Ada's still here.
Yes. But now, if you actually want to know how the Emperor truly survived, like I said, go look up the Dark Empire audio trilogy. It's on some people have posted on YouTube, or you could hunt down the Dark Empire trilogy graphic novel.
That's probably going to be pretty pricey, would be my guess.
It was, because I got one.
Do you know anything about Crimson Empire? Because I've seen it before, but I haven't read it, and I put it on like my wish list like forever ago, and now it's like not available. And anytime I actually go looking for it, it's like really expensive.
I've read a little bit about it, because one of the books that I do have is the prior to it's a little bit dated. It was around the time that the Dark Nest trilogy was out, but it was it's called the it's the new Essential Chronological Guide of the Star Wars Galaxy. So basically it's a giant book laying out the history of Star Wars and everything. So yeah, that's where I know about Crimson Empire. There is in fact actually a audio drama of the Crimson Empire on YouTube.
Okay.
So
maybe that's what I need to do then.
I know it's not I'm pretty sure it's not the complete Crimson Empire saga, but I don't know. I really don't know. It just tells it just tells the story of a former Emperor's guard who's hunting down his former Emperor guard who turned on the Emperor.
Okay. Yeah, because I just remember that the cover is about has the red Imperial guards on it. So
yeah,
I don't really know.
Yeah, so
that one, but it always looks really cool.
It has it. In order to understand the story to that, you have to kind of have to understand what the Dark Empire was, because
so it takes place after Dark Empire.
Yes.
Okay.
And it has ties to the Dark Empire, because the villain of Crimson Empire did things in Dark Empire that led to some stuff happening to the Emperor. I'll say I'll leave it with that if you ever want to. But I mean, this is explained in the audio drama if you want to hunt down the audio drama and listen to it on YouTube.
Okay.
So, and also other audio dramas that I came across on YouTube was, I mean, you have the original trilogy is on audio drama on YouTube. A lot of people do have those posted on there, as well as a couple of the Tales of the Jedi, and this is Tales of the Jedi comic series.
The real Tales of the Jedi, not the new crap from Disney,
not the Discanon stuff. So this is the graphic novels of Tales of the Jedi that dates back to about roughly 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, before the first Star Wars movie.
I always wanted to read those, but I never did because I never really got into. I always wanted to get into comic books in general. I just never did. So if I was going to, would have been Star Wars comics, but I just never got into them.
I've been slowly kind of working my way to buying up various comics, and I'm being extra careful to find books and comics that do not have the freaking Legacy label on them.
The Legends banner.
Legends. Sorry.
Nice.
So I'm making sure, and that means that I'm going to eBay and just scrounging eBay and looking for that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so, and in fact, actually, I was lucky enough to get one of those Hearts of the Jedi novels.
Oh, I got my copy right there at the end. Oh, nice. Right there next to the big Darth Bane one. I've not
Nice.
read it yet, but I did snag a copy of it.
Yeah, I do believe, in fact, actually, I do believe someone actually has an audio reading of that.
Oh, cool. But yeah, it definitely the EU is so much better than the Disney stuff, which is, I mean, almost rude to even compare the two.
Yeah, there are audio reading. There is audio readings of the Heart of the Jedi on YouTube. So if you ever want to go check those out, it's there.
Man,
So
there are more audio
and
dramas than I thought.
I mean, they're not. This one's not audio drama. It's just a audio book.
Oh, okay.
And also another cool one to look up is there is the Republic Commando. Someone is doing a pretty good job with doing a Republic Commando audio book.
Okay.
And it's really cool. He has sound effects and stuff like that playing in the background and everything. It's really cool.
Cool.
The YouTuber is named Hidden Gem, so he's doing some really cool stuff with the Republic Commando series.
Nice.
So
yeah, I still need to finish that game.
Yeah. So, but I like the Republic Commando series is like one of my favorite series in Star Wars.
Sweet.
Like, so. Oh, and also another event that takes place in the Legacy of the Force series is Boba Fett actually becomes the
Mandalore, yep.
So, I mean, he is already Mandalore, but he doesn't actually become an active leader until in this series. And he gets a granddaughter, and he also gets a granddaughter in the process.
That's right.
So,
yeah, up until that point, he was kind of like Mandalore by title only, but then he actually like starts living up to the title.
Yeah, takes an active role in rebuilding Mandalorian society and everything. And yes, Jason Solo does fall to the dark side. He becomes the Darth Sith, Darth Kaitis. Thanks to the aid of one of Luke's ex-girlfriends.
Ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. Her name is Darth Lumaya. She's very interesting. She's mostly a cyborg. But she also she doesn't use a lightsaber. She uses a light whip, which is basically it's not exactly a lightsaber like you know it as. Instead, it's a metallic. It's like a metallic cord that heats up really hot and kind of melts things like a lightsaber. So you don't want to get hit by the thing. And so, in order to fight.
Githany in the Darth Bane, the first Darth Bane book, who Bane trained with, used one as well.
Yes, that's exactly the same weapon that Darth Lumaya carries. In fact, actually, Darth Lumaya was one of Darth Vader's trained apprentices.
Now, was she actually a title of Darth? I didn't think so.
She's a self-proclaimed Darth.
Okay,
and then she doesn't. Whereas other female Sith Lords will call themselves Darth Lord, she refers to herself as Darth Lady. It's one of the few times that you'll hear a female Darth refer themselves as the Dark Lady.
Okay.
But she kind of considers herself as the successor of Darth Vader, in a sense, because Darth Vader trained her in the ways of the dark side. Originally, her story is that this is explained, I believe, in a comic. I don't remember exactly which one, but originally she infiltrated the rebellion with intentions of manipulating Luke so that Luke would leave the rebellion and join the Empire. But when Luke is in a starfighter battle with the Empire, his radar kind of gets gummed up. It's like damage or something during the battle. So he draws upon the Force to help him target.
I just had a vision of Spaceballs when the radar gets jammed.
Raspberry. There's only one person who knows that I hate Raspberry.
I need to watch Spaceballs again. It's been way too long since I've seen it.
That'd be fun. But anyways, but during the battle, because Luke's radar is knocked out, he draws upon the Force to help him search for enemies, and he senses the negativity of his girlfriend, and he shoots her down. But she survives. Darth Vader recovers her, and he gives her a robotic prosthetics to help her and everything. And she goes on to become a pain in Luke's side for a number of years.
Okay. Yeah, I knew of her, but I didn't really know much of her backstory.
Yeah. Yeah, she's an ex-girlfriend. She's a dark lady of the Sith, and she's an ex-girlfriend of Luke's.
I did not know the ex-girlfriend part.
Yes. Yeah, there's a Luke has a very interesting romantic history. Yeah,
I didn't know that there was anyone other than Mara.
Yeah, though there's a good number of them. Like, for example, there's one who is a Jedi of the Old Republic, who used her Force abilities to transfer her mind into the supercomputer of a battle station that was supposed to destroy the Jedi during the early years of the Great Jedi Purge.
You're not talking about Centerpoint, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, this battle station was called the Eye of the Emperor, the Eye of Palpatine.
Okay. I've heard of that one.
And so, her name is Callisto, and she in order to protect this group of children children Jedi who survived Order 66, she transfers her mind into this computer, into the supercomputer that's controlling the battle station, and she kind of just, I can't remember if she shuts it down or if she sends it into some wayward part of the galaxy. Well, years later, when Luke is doing his thing, he comes across the space station, and when one of his apprentices is like dying or something like that, she willfully allows Callisto to invade her body and take her over. Now, unfortunately, because of this whole process, Callisto has lost her connection to the Force, and so because of this loss of connection, she goes off. She leaves Luke with a promise of saying, if I can regain my connection to the Force, I'll come back. And this is one of Luke's early heartbreaks. Like, Luke loved this woman. He wanted to spend his entire life with her. Even if she didn't have the Force, he wanted to be with her. And she didn't feel like she was the appropriate girlfriend for the Master of the Jedi because she didn't have the Force. So she abandoned Luke and went off to do her own thing. If you are all going to read any of the EU novels, I don't think I'm going to kind of spoil what, because she does pop up later on. But I don't want to spoil what happens to her if you're going to read, particularly the Fate of the Jedi series. I would recommend.
I do plan to read Fate of the Jedi and Legacy of the Force at some point.
So yeah, anyone that's out there that's hearing this, I would recommend maybe reading New Jedi Order first.
That's a big ask because it's like 20 books or something. That's a lot.
Yes. Read.
It's awesome though.
Yes, read the New Jedi era. So, start with. You can either start with Survivor's Quest, but you would be missing a lot of context there. So.
Yeah, because I haven't read Survivor's Quest, but based on what you've been telling me tonight, I would probably say start with that before you go into Vector Prime.
But start there. I mean, you could. I'm trying to think of what you could possibly essential reading. You maybe do Outbound Flight, do the Thrawn trilogy, then the Hand of Thrawn duology, then do Survivor's Quest, and then work your way through the New Jedi Order novels. And then you do the Swarm War trilogy.
I've heard I never read that one because after I finished New Jedi Order, one of my buddies who was also big into the EU said that the Swarm War wasn't very good.
I thought it was entertaining. Problem is, I haven't read it in years, so I plan to re-listen to it on audiobook while I'm working, like I've done with all my Star Wars books. But do Swarm War because there is a little because in Swarm War you get a hint of what is happening with Jason because Jason
Oh, right,
returns
right.
to his family in Swarm War. And then you go to the Legacy of the Force, and then Fate of the Jedi, and there's also the novel Millennium Falcon, which you kind of learn the history of the Millennium Falcon a little bit. So everyone who has watched Revenge of the Sith and you think you see the Millennium Falcon flying along the bottom of the screen, yes, that is the Millennium Falcon.
What part of Revenge of the Sith?
Right after the Battle of Coruscant, when Obi-Wan, Palpatine, and Anakin are returning to the Senate, and
Huh.
right
I've never
before
noticed that.
right before Anakin runs into Padme and finds out that he's going to be a daddy.
Okay. I've never caught that.
Let me see if I can find the scene. Oh. You know what? It'd probably be better if I just do this. None of these are showing what I want.
That's all right. I'll keep an eye out next time I watch Revenge of the Sith. But yeah. I mean, it makes sense because it's an older ship, anyways. By the time we get to meet it in A New Hope.
All right, so I found a glimpse of it, so this will have to work for now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of a zoom in, but like you have to when you're watching Revenge of the Sith and you're seeing the scene of the right after the battle of Coruscant, and you're having the scene where Palpatine and Luke or Anakin and Obi-Wan are returning to the Senate, and you have all these ships and everything. You have to keep an eye on the bottom of the screen, and you'll see the Millennium Falcon flying in. And in the Millennium Falcon novel, you find out that is the Millennium Falcon. It's just not called the Millennium Falcon at the time.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that it's not Han that's the pilot.
No, it's two smugglers who are hired by a group called the Republic Group, who have set up a series of events to try and force force the Republic to remember what it is, which would force the Palpatine to give up power and everything. Well, that didn't work out so well because Palpatine, 2 seconds after the Falcon landed in that dock, Palpatine had his secret police round up the conspirators, and the two pilots flew off with the Millennium Falcon. And yeah. Okay. So also, the Millennium Falcon was problematic from the beginning of its history because they do kind of go over that where the Millennium Falcon, the YT-1300 freighter that becomes the Millennium Falcon, causes a huge disaster at the manufacturer.
I think I've heard something along those lines before.
Like its engines go off and it breaks off of its restraints and starts flying around the manufacturer, and it's like, oh my god.
And Vanquish apparently is a huge fan of Shadows of the Empire. Apparently, in the you can see
Dash Rendar's ship,
the Outrider in the new version of A New Hope leaving Mos Eisley.
Yeah,
that's
nice
cool.
little Easter eggs there.
I thought it was cool when they kind of did the reverse of that in Shadows of the Empire, where you see the Millennium Falcon fly out, and then you get on the Outrider and leave basically right after that. And I was like, oh, that's what happened in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, and also another thing is that if you've ever wanted uh those books that are the Dark Forces books.
That almost became my very first EU book because I loved the Dark Forces, and I knew that there was a book about Kyle Katarn. And I rented it from the library, but I was still too young, and it was not like a book. If I remember correctly, it was more of a book for a more uh, not like adult, as in like adult themed, but it was more of a not really meant for kids. So I didn't
A
get
little
very far
dance.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is the audio dramas of it on YouTube. So yes, you can find audio dramas for those on YouTube as well. And it is very interesting story. It actually ties back into the Darth Bane trilogy.
Really?
Yes. Because so
Huh.
do you remember at the end
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with that.
so you remember at the end of the first Darth Bane novel, you have the thought bomb. And
Yeah. When I
which is also seen at the beginning of the second novel.
yeah, where you're going with that is because I played the Jedi Knight game like when it was new and had just come out, and then like 10, 15 years later, whatever it was, when I read the Darth Bane books and I put the two and two together, I'm like, oh my god, that like blew my mind.
Yeah. So this trilogy of novels, aka audio dramas, tells the story of Kyle Katarn finding out who he is, how he gets the Death Star plans, as well as discovering. I'm trying to remember what was the second novel because the second novel was him discovering about the Valley of the Jedi and everything, and the third novel is about him uh, going to confront Jarek and defeating him and freeing the souls trapped in the thought bomb or
Yeah.
the sphere that was yeah. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff in the EU that Disney has decided that they didn't need to unless they want to pick and choose from.
Yeah.
Which really sucks because like
That's a
I
crazy.
was really excited to learn more from the Dawn of the Jedi series. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it.
But so Dawn of the Jedi is about
That's like
literal
the farthest back in the timeline, like 25,000 BBY.
25,000 3 or 200 BBY. So
Yeah, I don't know the specifics. I just know 25,000, like way, way at the beginning of time.
this series, it's one book and a handful of comics, and this revolves around the Jedi Order, which were the precursors to the Jedi. And the Jedi Order tried to do their best to balance basically what everyone tries to assume is a gray Jedi, which by the way, gray Jedi do not exist and they're not actually real, and it's not possible to be a gray Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
The Jedi are the cautionary tale of why a gray Jedi is not possible because they try to balance the light and dark side, or as the time they called them, Ashla and Bogan. They tried to balance the two, but it completely fell apart, especially when you had the Rakatans, which was an alien race that dominated the galaxy at the time,
Which plays
invade.
into KOTOR.
Yes. Invaded the Tython system where the Jedi were living, and basically threw the entire Jedi society into chaos, resulting in what would become known as the Force Wars between the followers of Ashla and the followers of Bogan. And obviously the followers of Ashla would win, and they would go on to create the Jedi Order. So
sweet. Yeah, another part of the EU I wanted to get into but never got around to it.
But again, because there's nothing new coming around, you have more than ample time to do it. And another novel that that kind of really pissed me off, that because it was almost finished, it just needed to be printed, was The Sword of the Jedi. It was basically finished. It just needed to be printed. And
Yep.
Disney said, nope.
Yep.
But I will say it's nice that we at least got the last novel of the Star Wars EU is Crucible, which is Han and Luke and Leia. It's their farewell novel.
Where does that take place in the timeline?
After Fate of the Jedi.
Okay.
Like I said,
I know the name of that book, but I didn't know where it fell in the timeline.
It takes place right after the Fate of the Jedi, maybe a year or two. But it's Han, Luke, and Leia's. It's their farewell. It's their
song.
It's them handing things over. It's them handing the saga over to their children, to Jaina, to Jaina Solo. Well, technically her name is Jaina Solo Fell because she just got married to Jagged Fell, and to Ben Skywalker. Yes, it's Ben Skywalker.
Skywalker, not Ben Solo.
Because Ben, Obi-Wan Kenobi, had more of a freaking connection to Luke than he did to Leia or Han.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Kylo Ren's just a bastardized ripoff of Jason Solo.
Yes, he is. But yeah, so I mean, it's basically the novel starts out with Han getting kidnapped by these two aliens that want to get revenge on him because he did something to their mother in the past. So they're going to torture him to death. And so Leia, Luke are looking for the kidnappers and trying to find Han to save him.
Okay.
Nice. So,
man. Yeah, whenever I think about like what Star Wars could have been, had the EU continued with people who cared about it.
Yeah,
it's sad,
I mean,
but
great
chat talking about the EU because it's the first time I've really like talked about like the EU on my channel, because usually the only time I talk about Star Wars is like Star Wars games. So that was a great chat.
Yeah,
and
I mean, even with
getting pretty late for you, was it almost 4 o'clock? No, you're 2 hours ahead of me, so it's almost 3.
Yes, I mean, even with the Disney Star Wars, I think to myself, what is it that they could have done with these stories, with these characters? And I mean, everyone keeps on saying, "Oh, Finn should have been a Jedi. Finn should have been a Jedi." I don't think he needed to be a Jedi. What I think that they could have done with Finn is that he could have been the leader of the Resistance. He could have taken over. He could have taken over for Leia. Poe could have continued being the pilot of the trio, and
could have been the new Wedge,
the new Han. Because I mean, I kind of see like every trilogy has its trio, has its trio. It has its Jedi, it has its pilot, and it has its soldier. You had in the original trilogy, you had Luke was the Jedi, Han was the pilot, and Leia was the soldier. In the prequel, you had Anakin or Obi-Wan was the Jedi, Anakin was the pilot because he's the best pilot in the galaxy, and Padme, ironically, was the soldier. I mean, yes, she preferred peace and she preferred decorum and everything, but when she needs to be, she'll fight.
Right.
And then you come to the Disney trilogy, and who's the pilot? Who's the Jedi? Who's the soldier? Rey.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's things that they could have done. I keep on running through my head. What could they have done here? What could have they done here? What could have they done here? And it's just like, even if they didn't want to use the EU, if they wanted to do their own thing, there's things they could have done.
Yep. Plenty they could have done.
And the greatest tragedy of it all is we'll never have Han, Luke, and Leia together on the live screen ever again.
Yep. Well, on that sour note,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
no, it was that was great learning even more about the EU stuff of that I knew bits and pieces of, but definitely enlightened me on a lot of stuff and give me some more details on it too. So that was awesome. Wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to go there, but that was a fun discussion.
I have a way of like throwing a wrench into the system and taking us off into the wild blue yonder. The wild
Yep.
blue yonder. So
But just like I said at the beginning, I usually start off with a question like, "Give me a little bit background on your gaming history," and look, it led to 3 hours, as it usually does, and that's why I love that question.
So yeah.
So I'm glad we could make this happen. Great time having you on. That was a great chat.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Definitely, definitely come back anytime. So,
Yeah.
I'll let you get to bed because it is pretty late for you.
Yes, I'm about to pass out now.
Getting a little late for me, but it's even later for you. So, what do you got going on? Anything you want to plug?
Again, I stated this at the beginning of the show. I will be over on my good friend, my best friend, Tabletop Junkie Games channel, where we'll be doing the next leg in the story of Call of Cthulhu on the Orient Express. And I don't know if I'm going to go insane or not. My character, at least. So we do that every week. We'll be alternating between that story and also our Castles and Crusaders gameplay. And then Sunday, I normally have my geek commentary show, which I've dubbed the show Multiverse Inquirer, because I am Spartacus, the defender of the multiverse. So might as well play up into the multiverse trope.
Nice.
And also sporadically, I am playing various video games, currently concentrating on the Infamous series. So
Sweet. And I did preload your YouTube channel and Twitter links in the stream description. So
thank you.
If you aren't following this guy, give him a follow, give him a sub. He's a great discussionist. I don't even know if it's a real word, but I'll use it anyways because it fits. So had a great time having you on. For me, I don't think I have anything planned until next week's open mic. So if anyone wants to come on and talk games with me next Thursday, or if Thursday doesn't work, we might be able to figure out a different night to do it. But let me know, and we'll make it happen. So again, thanks for coming on. Had a great time chatting with you, and you have a good night. And I will see you later.
See you around. Thanks for having me on.
See you around. All right, everyone else in the chat, everyone who came and hung out with us at any point in the last 3 hours, appreciate you guys always hanging out. You guys are great. Thank you. And everyone, I'll see you later. In the meantime, game on.